And here we go. So, whew, I am excited. This is book number 19 in this noble quest of this university. How to win friends and influence people. It's been a long day, so my voice is rather hoarse. But before we begin, I was actually really excited because number one, there's not a lot of notes. And I was like, praise the Lord. But this book is like a textbook. So it took me a very long time to finish it, thus the 2-week delay between the last video and this one. And a lot of the information that's in this book is commonplace to me now, is somewhat redundant. But the first time that I read it, it wasn't. It was like all golden new insight. And I remember the first time I read it, I think it took me like a month or so to read and to really absorb before I even got into utilizing it and putting it into practice, putting it into place. Another book that takes about that long is, if you've ever read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it is a textbook of golden personal development literature by none other than Dale Carnegie. So, I wanted to give you an update, and the reason why, if I look rather fatigued, I got an invite. I got an invite to test this morning for a new position within another school district. I passed that test. I got invited to interview for this potential new position. So, as of right now, the interview scheduled for next Wednesday, and that'll be round 1. If we pass that, we get invited to the final interview, which the turnaround time's so fast with this school district, I imagine it'll be the following week. If we pass the final interview, the last leg is negotiation. As in, they have a salary schedule. You can start from step 1 to step 13. The goal when you're in the Ratlife, and it's important that I share this, is this. And I did this math with one of my coworkers just the other day. I said, and I think I explained this in a prior video, but if I didn't, then this will be new, and if I did, I'm reiterating it. I said, I got my 1-year salary increase recently this past July, and then it got post-dated to August. On paper, my salary went up by $300. So it went from $6,119 per month to $6,420 per month on paper, right? That's the number, the figure. So the take home after what's taken out for taxes and for CalPERS, which is in schools is their retirement, their 401k equivalent, the increase was less than like $150. It got cut in half. I did the math. If you do the division of that margin divided by the total for the month, and the percent increase was like 1.4 or something. So on paper, my salary went up by 4.1%. In reality, it went up by 1.4%. Inflation currently in Orange County is 3.2%. What that means is the increase that I got is not even outpacing inflation. So while the number on the fucking screen says you're progressing, you're moving forward, in reality, the same money doesn't have the same purchasing power. As in, you can't buy the same things that you did recently, even with this new income. What that means is, when you're going into your work, your 9 to 5, your rat life, if you don't have this lens, if you're not aware of it, you're chasing a carrot perpetually and not progressing. It'll be 20 years fucking later and you'll be like, that's weird. My savings hasn't increased, my lifestyle hasn't improved, and I'm just in the same place year after year after year, even though on paper this number is going up. And that's the reason for it. You just have to do the math. So the reason that it's so important is because when you start a new job, you don't want to start at the entry level. It's so important that you just negotiate as high as possible. This is the reason why. It's to your advantage. Number one, because of the math that I just said. If you don't do that, you'll be that cog in the wheel, the rat in the maze, chasing that tiny little incremental salary increase, which actually, from what I just explained, equates to nothing. Equates to regression, not progression. But number two, you're battling HR. They're not a sales department. As in, they won't give you much pushback. They might counter, because I've had this experience, they might counter like once, but if you just utilize, we're not going to include this book in the university, but it's from, if you've ever seen the movie Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, he wrote the book, The Way of the Wolf. And he talks about this idea called straight line selling and this idea called looping. So you have basically what you state about your product, your service, your sales pitch. And then you get this objection, and all you do is loop to give them more of the same information to increase their certainty. And so you say, these are my qualifications, this is the reason why I want to be placed at this salary range. They give you whatever lashback, and then you loop back. And then you just say, well, because of this and this and this. And so you have A, B, C, and D to get back to your initial proposal, if that makes sense. I'm trying not to butcher it, but that's just having your script ready and anticipating what might be the objections. You're not battling a salesperson, you're battling human resources. So it's more likely that you're going to win, because it's much easier for them to place you at a higher step placement than it is to go through the recruitment process again for another person. So the reason that I'm saying all of that is that's the latest and the greatest in terms of me within the Ratlife. And it's so important because the whole goal is creating the margin. So in the totality of this quest, you're going to see me living and abiding by what I'm preaching, what I'm discussing, what I'm teaching, so that it's applicable and replicatable for many of the students watching this, regardless of your demographic, your income, financial status, background, where you're starting, any of it. The start of this university, I was living in my fucking car, right? We were homeless, drowning in debt. That was lecture 1. It starts with belief. And so someone with that sort of start, as in homeless, prior to that, working a minimum wage job, if even having a job while I was doing entrepreneurship, drowning in debt, if I was able to have that start and persevere through that, then I prove the sentiment of Ratlife, which is anyone can escape. Anyone can escape the Ratlife. It starts with belief. It's possible I can, I'm worthy of it, and the courage to pursue, right? To try, to fail, to try again. And I'll get to, I feel like right now, honestly, I have God on my side, and I've said this to a bunch of different people, like, I feel I'm in the place now to receive, and I feel very, very calm during this process, as in I don't have, butterflies, I don't have exhilaration, I feel finally like I'm on that level of receiving a 6-figure income. I feel ready. And that's how I think you call it God, you can call it the law of attraction, whatever. But when you finally are indifferent and don't care and you're over it, then I feel like that's when you're on that vibration. And it's a vibrational match. And that's where I feel like I am with getting to this next level. And what's interesting is how much it aligns with the prep that I'm doing. And I shared this with Ricardo recently. I said, and I think I shared this in a prior lecture, that every time I've done a transformation for bodybuilding, not only have I gotten shredded, tan, pearly white teeth, best shape of my life, all of this, but I've also taken something else on, whether it was a UCLA graduation, a Euro trip, starting a business. Like, there's always been something else that I've added to the ante. And I actually could share with you the list. And I put this in my notes. I said, we're at the finish line. And so I put the remaining days at work. It's like expecting the best from what we went over in The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. How many training sessions I have left for the prep, the amount of books that I'm hoping to get done. I'm hoping that we get to book lecture number 21, the amount of laws for the Laws of Power by Robert Greene, hoping to get to 12. The grant that I'm hoping to get from the grant application that I submitted recently, and then what that would alleviate, such as credit card debt. And then the job, the salary for the job, which would put me in the 6-figure mark. And then I don't think I've shared this in a single lecture, but this is actually something that we're coming close to. So in the sake of honesty and full transparency, I just passed my 11th month mark of celibacy or abstinence. And I did share that in a prior video that my biggest vice has been women. By far, my biggest vice has been women. And I have shared this with Ricardo, and I've shared this even here before, that in a prior lecture, that if Ricardo wasn't here, there would be women who shouldn't be here within my apartment, just out of a lack of self-control. I've literally explained it to where it feels like this process has been like going through Alcoholics Anonymous, like as if I was a drug addict or a alcoholic. Like that for me is the equivalent of women. It sounds silly, but I would literally lower my standard or be entertaining women who I shouldn't be. And so having that support system, knowing my weaknesses, knowing my habits, being honest with myself and past tendencies and all this, I love that I've been able to set up my life in such a way to where that is combated. And I have those compliments and that accountability, that self-consciousness, to keep me straight and to keep me on that straight path. So it literally feels like that. It literally feels like going through that cleanse. And it's really, really cool. Just because Patrick Bet-David went 18 months without sleeping with a woman. I don't want to go 18 months with that by any means, but it's quite different from the frequency of being with a multitude of women, particularly when I was traveling in abundant numbers, to getting this period of cleansing, of this purity, of this having such a clear mind of who I want as my partner, as my woman. Because I really took the sentiment seriously that, are my actions consistent with what I say I want? It's like, I want this caliber of a woman, but I'm this caliber of a man, right? I want to be this kind of provider, and so I want this kind of a traditional woman, but this is where I am right now. I can't even take care of myself. How can I take care of somebody else? And so I love that, keeping that in the forefront of my mind, that are these actions worthy of the woman I say that I want? And I can say with full pride that as of right now, they are. And it's just really cool. Like, it's really cool that you're not sending, DMs or texts that you shouldn't be. You're not sending photos of yourself that you shouldn't be. You're not watching porn. You're going on dates with people who you shouldn't be. You're not, hoeing around, sleeping around. There's no fucking Rolodex, no archive, no bench like people have of like my starters. If A, B, and C on my roster are taken, then I'll go to D. I don't have any of that garbage. And it's beautiful because it gives you crystal fucking clarity on who it is you want, the caliber of wife that you want. And then just that mirror of, okay, this is the caliber of man that I want to become. And then I think in the pursuit of you becoming that man, you'll naturally attract the woman that you want. And what I'm learning in real time is roles get reversed. So as you grow into a young, capable provider, masculine, traditional man, you get all the options at time's end. It's quite different from the 23-year-old girl who, just based on data and research of 40 years of dating apps, they have their peak sexual marketplace value, as in anyone from 18 to 90 years old, everyone wants them. But the roles get completely reversed as men hit their peak, and men don't peak based on data until they're 36. So I'm barely on my ascent. And it really makes sense in terms of the hilarity and the idea of pedestaling women, which it made a lot more sense prior to stepping into the role of a provider. But when you can provide for a woman entirely, it doesn't make any sense to plead and beg to fund someone's life. Like, just that sentiment doesn't make any sense. Like, to plead someone to pay their rent or pay their bills or do any of that. And so it's a different lens. And so it's interesting because then you get to be very, very clear, okay, who do you want as your wife? Who do you want as the mother of your children? What kind of woman and her values do you want being instilled into your future children? And so it's such a different lens, but that's another goal of this transformation that I wanted to include, is we hit the 1 year celibacy abstinence mark in just a few weeks. And so very proud of that. Very, very proud of that, because that has been so hard. Not literally, but hard in the sense of this may have been the most challenging thing I've ever done. It's been like something, like a natural instinct that I've had to suppress in terms of charm, in terms of charisma, in terms of just masculine dominance and conquest. It's very hard to explain. It's a very hard mental gap to bridge with, if you're a woman watching this. It's like literally any time that you know, because if you're not an unattractive person, like as in if you are, you know, an arguably not unattractive person, it's something that you have to constantly curb. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm going against all of my natural instincts when I meet new people and when I talk with people and converse with people, you know, strangers or prospects or people at the gym or whatever, and I'm constantly having to, you know, put my head down and shy away and just doing all this, and it's a very unnatural thing, but I constantly reiterate to myself, are my actions consistent with what I say I want? It's like, you know who you want, and so you get a different lens of, I know this is a huge preface to the book, but I think it's important for any young man watching this, the different lens of, is this a woman I just want to sleep with, or is this somebody who I want to develop a real relationship with? And so once you get past that, and this is a really good lens, not to have TMI, but if you try to put yourself and visualize yourself forward, that how would I feel? Imagine that you had slept with them. Okay, now what? And once you get past there, that post-end clarity, then you're just like, okay, I don't actually want them. I was just sexually attracted to them. And again, it gives you a lot of peace and clarity on who you want, the kind of woman who you want, who should be a reflection of who you are as a man, because she's your standard, and the kind of man that you want to become for the kind of woman you want to be worthy of to earn, right? So I love all those things, and I love that that is a part of this journey. It's not the woman, it's set a goal for what it will make of you in order to achieve it. And for me, it's the label of my alarm clock, which was one of the homework assignments of a prior book. I said, set it to your number one goal. The label of mine says, become the right man, period. And so I'm also going to be working on sending someone a letter. That's another thing, my 11-year bodybuilding transformation, and then maybe be taking a trip, depending on if I'm, number one, get hired by this new job, and number two, based on their HR department, if I can start at a later date, then, and if I get this grant funding, then if that beautiful, God's perfect timing, and that beautiful alchemy all transpire, then I'd be able to take a much needed trip that I haven't felt that euphoria of freedom since November, more like August of 2021. So I would love to experience that again. But that's what I'm working on. That's the finish line of this prep over the next literally just over 5 weeks. So with that, how to win friends and influence people. If you made it, if you're still listening, book number 19 of the university. I know these get a lot less views presently as the laws, but these are the most important things, because it's that quote, for the purpose of this university, and I want to reiterate, it's so important. Life is not about what you get, it's about who you become and what you're able to give now that you've become more, right? Set a goal, and you should want a hard-won victory, which is what this season for me has been. It's been fucking brutal, man. It's been heart-aching, it's been full of defeat, rejection, despair, loneliness, rage, but I shift the rhetoric and I shift the mentality to being grateful to God for these gifts. Because I remember one of the videos that I made while I was living in my car for those 93 days. And I said, you should hope for a hard path, full of struggle, full of adversity, full of failure, full of defeat. Don't wish for an easy path. For that exact sentiment, if the road and the journey was easy, you would become nothing as a result. So all of this shit, Murphy's Law, all of the adversity and failure and heartbreak and rejection and defeat and despair, loss, or the illusion of loss, all gifts because of the man or woman that you are becoming as a result of persevering through those trials. So if you can view it with that lens, all of these are gifts. They're being gifted to you for the man you get to become as a result. So it's the same thing with this university and the importance of doing these books, even if they don't get any views. For the man or woman you become from reading it, from reflecting on it, from absorbing it, from putting it into practice, from that becoming a part of your habit, part of your character, who you are as a man or woman, and then how that affects your entire circle of influence by you embodying that standard, etiquette, professionalism, just being an amazing person. It's very contagious, and it'll spread to everyone around you in your life, benefiting from you becoming more. It's not about what you get, it's about who you become and what you're able to give now that you've become more. Now that your cup is here, you have this much more to give others. Do you see? So with that, let's get into the book. This book I've put into practice for years, and I want to start with the end. So the last line that I wrote in this book was actually a commentary from one of the last pages. And I put, "What that I just discussed were you taught in school?" And I put, "That's right." Because the last thing that he says in the book, it was one of the prefaces to the original rendition, which this was published in the 1930s. The fact that these people, referring to the 2,500 who attended one of his seminars, 10 or 20 years after leaving grade school, high school, or college, come and take this training is a glaring commentary on the shocking deficiencies in our educational system. I wrote that because that's still fucking prevalent in the world today. The horrific deficiencies in modern day education. The garbage, the lack thereof. Everything that I'm about to discuss, I wanted to exemplify that last statement. What that I just discussed were you taught in school? Because I wasn't taught fucking any of what I'm about to share with you in school. To begin, Abraham Lincoln, quote, "Don't criticize them. I love this. They are just what we would be under similar circumstances." That sentiment is the perfect embodiment of emotional maturity. As in, if you're having a conversation with someone and they're so dim not to understand that they only believe that the shit that they believe because they happen to be born here with this education, with this circle of influence, under this parentage. And so that is why they're so hell-bent on their stance, on their position. If they don't have the cognizance to consider that premise, they're not even worth having a conversation with, because you'll be talking to a fucking wall. I always gauge the emotional capacity of someone who I'm about to converse with to see if that premise holds true. Because if they don't understand that, from Lincoln, they are just what we would be under similar circumstances. As in, had I been born where you were born, I would believe the same shit you believe. I'd have your faith, I'd have your Democratic or Republican or what liberal conservative views, and I would be just as passionate about my views. And people don't understand that had you not been born here, had you been born in this country, you'd be completely different. Had you been born 50 years earlier, you'd be completely different. So consider that. Consider, where did I get these beliefs from? Are they my own? Because people don't even bother to ask that. They don't bother to iterate within their own belief system, their own values, their own lives. They just take everything for fucking face value. But if you can take away anything from this university beyond the quest of it, these 1,000 books, right? Not about what I get, about who I become through this noble quest, right? That you're embarking on with me. The journey to become the right man, a made man, right? Made woman, if you're a chick watching this. It's that same sentiment. Who would I be under similar circumstances? Begin to step out of yourself and your fucking lens, the one lens that you view the world. Because a big theme in this book is to consider the perspective from other people's point of view. This is something that I mastered while I was abroad. Because when I'm in my harmonious state, which is me traveling, not in the grind, but on God's time, I'm not in a rush, I'm 100% present. Not thinking about this or this, I'm there. I get to just be. I don't care about people's political dispositions. I don't care how fucking liberal they are. I don't care about their sexual orientation. I don't give a shit about any of that. I'm so intrigued to find out who they are and what they're like, what they're about, and why they believe the shit that they believe. And it's so funny because by being genuinely interested in them, which is a huge theme in this book, not only do you bring out the best in them and elicit the most love from them and fill their significance and importance cup, but what's interesting is these same people who I'm so genuinely infatuated with while I'm abroad, I would never have them in my curated reality at all, because my garden is so pure. And so even though they're a beautiful soul, if they have any sort of fucking negativity or depression or limiting beliefs, fears, projected insecurities, I curate my reality so well and so heavily that I don't tolerate any of that shit. And it's very important because when you think about your world, right, your garden, you can't neglect to think about the other people in your life that you say that you love. So by consciously inviting weeds and parasites and pesticides and fucking poison in the form of negative people and toxic people and depressed people, you're making a statement to the people that you love saying, I don't want to give you as much as I could. I'm choosing not to give you as much as I could because I'm choosing to tolerate toxicity, to tolerate negativity. So I'm choosing to poison my garden. What kind of fruit do you think you're going to bear to the other people in your life that you say that you love? Food for thought. So I take it now as a responsibility to curate my garden, not for myself, because I can stand guard at the doorway of my mind. I can combat people's negativity and people's bullshit. I'm very, very sharp. But if you don't constantly stand guard at the doorway of your mind, at the door of your garden, then those weeds in the form of projection of fear, of doubt, of hesitation, of be careful, of believe this, people who call you stupid or ugly and you actually believe that fucking garbage, or that you're not able to achieve this, if you, by their fucking irresponsibility of the negligence of their words and the irresponsibility of their words, if you allow that shit to seep in, as in the way that that seed gets planted is you believe that garbage for yourself, then who do you become or who do you regress to as a result, right? And then what kind of person you are to the people that you say that you care about. So that's why it's so important to gauge the person's emotional capacity, emotional cognizance, their mental awareness of their belief system and why they believe what they believe, and the fact that they only believe what they believe because they happen to be born when, how, where, etc. Good food for thought from Abraham Lincoln next. Benjamin Franklin, I will speak ill of no man and speak all the good I know of everybody. Any fool can criticize and condemn and complain, and I put and bitch and moan. And most fools do, but it takes character and self-control to be understanding and forgiving. That's that lens of compassion that you only get from trying to understand the other person's point of view. And I put emotional control is the epitome of masculine leadership. It's that stoicism. And I love the idea of viewing opportunities in the form of people's fucking emotional and verbal turmoil as an opportunity for you to practice emotional control and stoicism. It's an opportunity for you to stay cool, calm, composed, collected. So view that next engagement as that. This is an opportunity for me to keep my cool, to not absorb, to not take it personally. And let me see if I can't resolve this and have my tone and demeanor, bleed into theirs and affect theirs. Good challenge for you. Next. To show you, I love this story. And this is from Bob Hoover, which was a famous test pilot. To show you, he's talking to a mechanic, to show you that I'm sure you'll never do this again. His mechanic put jet fuel instead of gasoline into his airplane. To show you that I'm sure you'll never do this again, I want you to service my F-150 tomorrow. It's the importance of holding someone to a noble standard and allowing them to save face, which is a huge theme in this book. As in, this mistake from this mechanic could have resulted in him dying. And rather than fucking condemn this kid, which I assume he was, he went up to him and said, because I know you're not going to make the mistake again and I trust you so much and you're such a capable young man, I've personally requested that you service my plane tomorrow. And then Dale Carnegie posed the hypothetical, do you think he made that same fucking mistake? No. But shitty leadership in today's world, in today's education system, or political system, whatever, they seldom let people save face or hold them to a noble standard. And the result is so much needless resentment from criticism. But if you offer someone the opportunity to hold them to a noble standard, to give them the gift of trust, you'll find that they'll work hard as fuck to not let you down. Next. The habit of finding fault or reprimanding. This was my reward to you for being a boy. I love this quote, and I've remembered this for years. It was not that I did not love you. So this is the reflection written in the form of a poem by a father who was like scolding his son, okay, for making all of these mistakes as a boy, and he's a grown man. The habit of finding fault, of reprimanding. This was my reward to you for being a boy. It was not that I did not love you. It was that I expected too much of you, too much of youth. I was measuring you by the yardstick of my own years. This is a good quote. I want you to memorize this. This is homework assignment number 1. Oh, I don't need to write it. I already wrote it down. Number 1, don't ever criticize or condemn, ever. Or complain. You have nothing to fucking bitch and moan about. There's someone out there dreaming to live out your worst day. Don't criticize ever. Ever. And gossip. Let's put that in there. Don't criticize, condemn, complain, or gossip. Number 1. And this isn't a one-time homework assignment. This is perpetually. Don't criticize others. Don't condemn others. Don't offer others condemnation. It's one of the biggest takeaways from this book. Don't complain. Don't bitch and moan. Someone's dreaming to live out your worst day. Don't gossip. Don't invite that fucking negativity into your garden, into your life. Don't be one of those people, right, who they don't have anything to say about goals, about dreams, about ambition. So what can they do? They can just criticize other fucking people who are trying, right? Don't be one of those snake weasels. And that's not to say you can't have a conversation about others for the productivity and healing and growth of the individual that you're conversing with. I do that, where you can identify snakery, treachery, abuse, harassment, and then have that conversation for this person to heal and to overcome. That's different. I'm talking about just straight shit talking other people that aren't in the fucking room because you don't have the courage to talk to them man to fucking man. Homework assignment number 2, don't ever, and this is hard, but this is something that you have to try, and I'll give you an example. Don't measure others by the yardstick of your own years. Oh, so good. Give you an example. I remember a few years ago, I was in the gym. There's like this 18 fucking year old kid in front of me flexing his shadow of a tricep muscle in the mirror. And then I was about to be like, get the fuck out of my way. But then I asked myself, I said, Tariq, who were you at 18? Who were you at 19, right? And don't get me wrong, modern day children have the utmost fucking arrogance, the utmost egos. They're these arrogant little pricks, right? I understand that. And I've even asked myself that when I tried to put this into practice and being cognizant of my, initial judgment and condemnation of other people. I say, Tariq, don't measure others by the yardstick of your own years. Who were you when you were this age? But then I'll come back to that and be like, I was never this fucking arrogant. I was never a prick like this. Yes, I had arrogance, but not to this fucking degree. I wasn't a piece of shit slamming my fucking weights. Don't get me wrong, when I would get a deadlift PR and it'd be like 400, 500 pounds, I would throw that shit on the ground. And that was like, the adrenaline and testosterone of a fucking teenager. But I'm talking about these douchebags who walk around, you've seen it, they have like the perms and the shaved heads, and it's a, this fucking generation, it's clown world, it's a shit show from the generational cycle. It's crazy the way these people talk, and they don't have a vocabulary, and they're just these arrogant pricks. But I digress. It's not me. I just see people who were never disciplined, who were never told no, who never had a fucking bologna sandwich. Like, I can't be alone in that sentiment. We live in a generation of snowflakes, of these fucking pussies, and these cowards, and these people who have no sort of degree of thick skin. They cry over their feelings, and they've never been beat. You can look at a young kid today and swear to the good Lord their parent never took off their fucking belt and gave them a needed disciplinary action to reprimand their actions. It's so fucking evident in their lack of humility and their lack of respect and their lack of consideration for others. So don't get me started there, dog. But I love that quote. Don't measure others by the yardstick of your own years. Such a good quote. Such a good quote. And it's very important because parents make that fuck up all the time. As in, yeah, you're in your 30s and your 40s and you're trying to instill all of that growth and development and learning and failures, and you're putting that so fucking unfairly on a child. Let them be a child, right? Who the fuck were you at 5 years old? Bob? Relax. Next. I don't know what this word means, approbation, but it's a great quote to emphasize the importance of giving praise and recognition. And the quote is this: be hearty in your approbation and lavish in your praise. So if any of you guys, if you're even listening to this, leave that in the comment, that definition. I would love to learn it. What is approbation? But the whole premise of it is be hearty in your praise and recognition to others. So don't criticize and condemn, be hearty in your praise and recognition. It's all how you're gonna win friends and influence people. Honest appreciation and encouragement expressed through specific praise and recognition. We'll go over this later, but the specificity is so huge, because without the specificity, it's just flattery. And people despise flattery. It's so fucking hollow, particularly in dating, particularly women who receive those compliments all the time. Oh, you're so hot, you're so beautiful. Those words don't mean shit. But if you say it was really beautiful the way you did, and you're very specific, it's so much sincere and it'll hold so much more weight. Or if you're trying to recognize someone's work that they did. I'll give you a good example. When my little sister was designing the label for the Ratlife pre-workout, I would give her that specific praise and recognition, be like, I love how you tapered the color towards the top, and you can see how it faded here at the top and at the bottom. I love the font that you used here. I love that you must have done, XYZ here to, any of the specifics that I could point out of the work that she did that would otherwise go unrecognized. People appreciate that so much, because what you're doing is you fill their significance cup of, wow, he really sees me. He's really acknowledging the work that I spent so much time on. And so people love that. People really appreciate that, where you get to the specifics of, I really love this and this and this, and that's not going unnoticed. And then they're like, wow, he actually appreciates me. But if you just say, oh, this was cool, great job, you're doing, keep up the hard work, that doesn't mean fucking shit, right? It's the same thing in a romantic pursuit. I just wanted to let you know it was really beautiful that the way you did this. Or I noticed that you pick up the trash on the ground. I just want to say that's really cool. That will hold so much more weight. It's the specificity. The specificity differentiates it from flattery. Important. Publicly and privately, do both. As often as possible for any and all achievements, however great or small. Okay. We often take our spouses so much for granted that we never let them know we appreciate them. So true. Good quote by Tony Robbins. If you treat the relationship like you did in the beginning, there will be no end. As in the beginning of a relationship, you're dressing your best. You're showing up correct. You're putting on cologne. You're looking sharp. You're cleaning your apartment for your woman to come over. You'll get flowers. You'll do the 9 for this person that you're trying to win. But at some point, 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, you take them for granted even a fucking little bit, and that's where the game ends. But if you treat the person in the pursuit of the person like you did in the beginning, where you're trying to win their favor and you're constantly working to earn their love, there will never be an end. Very important food for thought. I once had a client who said that was the best thing her husband of several years ever told her. Every year I'm still trying to win your love, win your heart. People don't do that shit anymore. They don't try. They just go on to the fucking next. Next, homework. Oh shit. Buy someone you love roses and tell them how much and why you appreciate them. Give specific praise, and this was a homework assignment in the past, but it's important to do it again. Give them specific praise and recognition, or give specific praise and recognition to one person in your garden for no reason. So I give my word that I will do that. It's actually convenient because my mom and little sister are visiting this Saturday, and so that'll give me a good opportunity to give them, who are in my garden, those flowers for no reason, and give them specific praise and recognition. Maybe I'll do that to them or to someone else, but I'll do that. So that's a homework assignment. Practice giving specific praise and recognition to somebody. Nobody fucking does it, man. How quick are we to criticize something when something goes wrong or when someone makes a mistake? How slow are we to pay credit where it's due. If you're a student in this university, that should be the premise. That should be prevalent in every single one of you. Pay credit where it's due. It's less about them and more reaffirming and reiterating your character, who you are as a man or woman. I'm the kind of man or woman that pays credit where it's due. I'm so filled of my self-respect, self-love, self-image, security, that I have confidence complimenting another person. I understand life is not a zero-sum game. Another person winning doesn't mean I'm losing. I can clap for others when they're winning, and then I'll clap for others until it's my turn to win. I live in that abundant state. You'll find if you give praise and recognition to other people, seldom do you need it for yourself. It's only people who don't ever pay credit where it's due, where they need that validation, approval, recognition from others. So that's why it's a homework assignment. What was the first one? To reiterate, don't criticize ever. Don't condemn ever. Don't complain ever. Don't gossip ever. Don't measure others by the yardstick of your own years. Memorize that. Homework assignment number 2, this is an opportunity to give specific praise and recognition to one person in your garden, and buy someone flowers for no reason. No reason. But just because that's the person you are, who you are as a man, who you are as a woman. All right. But mostly for the young men in here. Because with this university, if we make men what they used to be, then women will be better as a result. So this university is for men. Ladies, get the fuck out. No. Women have as much to take away from this, but my whole prerogative is as if I'm talking to my 18-year-old self. But my 18-year-old self who didn't have the influence of a Greg Plitt, somebody who taught me character, work ethic, discipline, delayed gratification, integrity, character, honor, right? That's the fucking kid who I'm speaking to. All right. Homework. Oh, skipped it. People hunger, crave appreciation. I shall pass this way but once. Any good, therefore, that I can do, or any kindness that I can show to anyone, let me do it now. Let me not defer nor neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again. Pay credit at every opportunity that you can, man. Give credit where it's due. You may never see this fucking person again. What do you have to lose by telling that person, wow, you're really beautiful for this reason, right? Wow, I really appreciated that you did this. I really like your shirt. If you get in the habit of doing that, you smile at the world will smile back. Cheesy, but it's very, very true. Your outer world is just a reflection, a mirror of your inner world. So if you see everyone in a lens of hate, of anger, of resentment, of this, you're not in a good place. But if you see people and you just see the best in people, that's how you know you're in a good place. So practice that. If you find yourself in this dark, dismal world of viewing people through the lens of love, of patience, of compassion, of grace, give them appreciation that they're craving. Next, homework. Always pay credit where it's due. Funny that. At any given opportunity, take every opportunity to give others a compliment, sincere, honest, and specific praise, encouragement, and recognition. Always talk about what others want. So again, this is tying into now influencing other people, winning them to your cause, having a discussion with them. This is great practice. Always talk about what others want. So never say what you want. Know what it is that you want, and you're guiding the conversation there. But the way that you guide it is if you just talk about other people's interests and achievements and accolades and accomplishments, and then without even broaching yourself, they will ask. People are interested in people who are interested in us. I learned that and I practice that and I refine that. I don't talk about myself, my goals, my plans with others who don't ask. I'm just infatuated with them. No, fuck whatever about me or how I'm doing. How are you doing? Me, myself, and I want to know, right? That's the idea. Show them. So always talk about what others want. Show them how to get it. This is from the book. Never what you want are interested in. And I said, don't worry, they'll ask. They will. Their interest in you will go up by your interest in them. It's completely true. Talk in terms of what the other person wants. I just said that. If there is any one secret of success, it lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view and see things from that person's angle as well as from your own. Quote from Henry Ford. How interesting. If you can glean the perspective of the other person, their frustration, their emotionality, their hesitation, their wants and desires, their needs, and if you can have that compassionate lens where you can actually see, okay, why do they feel the way that they do, and what are their deepest desires and wants, then you can satisfy those. Then you can exceed those expectations. You can give to them abundantly, whether they're seeking importance, to be valued, praise, recognition, or in most conflict resolution, they just want to feel like they've been fucking heard, right? That somebody gives a fuck about them, and that their point is valid, and that, yeah, that's what most people want, dude, in this life, is they just want to feel a base level of importance, like they fucking matter, like somebody gives a shit about them. If you give someone the time of day, who other people don't do ever, I swear you will earn their fucking love for a lifetime. I'll give you a perfect example. A few years ago, I put up my phone number, and I said, call me with any problem. Call me with any problem. I said, call a stranger, it might change your life. And I would get phone calls. I got dozens of phone calls from people who, some of them have never had a friend in their entire life or for years. And just by giving them a friend for an hour or any length of time, those people they've never forgotten that, ever. As in, they still give me their undying love just because I was that one person who gave them a feeling of importance for this amount of time. It's crazy how far, when you give someone significance, importance, make them feel like they're valued, like they matter, like you were someone who makes them feel so appreciated, right? From you just fucking listening to them, just being a friend, you have no idea how far that will go. Food for thought. Do not state what you want. Write how you can help them. Focus on their wants, not your own. That works for sales, that works for seduction, that works for... Robert Greene goes over this in Seduction. It's finding out all of the missing parts and the longing desires of the person who is your target, the person you're trying to win over, the heart you're trying to win, the woman you're trying to seduce. And then fulfilling those desires that this person is missing. He said, that's how I would go about seducing this person. And it's very, very true. Is you find out, what is that undertone, right? It undertones the feeling of being seen. There's a difference between the limbic part of your brain and the neocortex. One is responsible for emotion, one is responsible for articulation. That's why it's very hard for people to express and articulate how they feel, because they're two different parts of the brain. So the easiest way for people to verbalize it, they simplify it into, wow, that person really gets me. They really understand me. It's that premise, it's that statement. So if you can make a person feel appreciated, seen, understood, that will go so far for you, whether it's in a romantic interest, a business relationship, anything. They'll be like, he really fucking cares, right? Or gets me, what have you. He gets it. We connect. You know, we just had really good chemistry. Arousing the other person in eager want. Idea from the book. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming genuinely interested in other people than you can in 2 years trying to get other people interested in you. I learned that 1000% with certainty when I traveled. And not sharing about my goals, my wants, my dreams, my visions, my ambitions, but it's just immersing myself in the other person's world and being completely present, conversing with them as if I was on the edge of my fucking seat. I've made people feel more significance and appreciation than some of them have ever in their entire life. And you can do the same. Food for thought. Be genuinely interested in other people. One can win this is such a good quote and it's so true. And this is when you learn and solidify with conviction the premise, the idea. There is no such thing as leagues. I'll say it again. There is no such thing as leagues. No such thing. One can win the attention and time and cooperation of even the most sought after by becoming genuinely interested in them. You see this on the TikTok videos where they go up to a millionaire or a billionaire, and by just being interested in them, about their struggles, about their journey, about their story, you'll see them, the other person, so eager and interested to share with them. You find this when you go with mentors, that people want to help people who are interested in them and who want to help themselves. Like they're happy to help for free. But also, in terms of someone who you think is so out there and out of your league and all this bullshit, or someone who's such a high status figure, he accounts for several stories in this book where a kid would earn the attention of the most sought after, of presidents, of celebrities, and be invited to dinner, be invited to their house by simply writing this person a letter expressing genuine interest in them. Not talking about what they want, their desires, no, I don't know you. I don't give a fuck what you want, right? People love themselves and their own best interests and love sharing with other people their story. Do you understand? You can win the attention of the most sought after by just becoming genuinely interested in them. Try it. Harness sincere praise and recognition when you send someone an outreach. I've messaged people with the blue Instagram tick, celebrities, whatever, and you get responses from them by specific praise and recognition, by being genuinely interested in them, right? People know that, and people appreciate that. Food for thought. Food for thought, dog. Next. I love this, man. It's been a long time since I filmed a lecture, so I love that we're doing this right now. Book number 19. And I think that's so cool, and I shared it with Ricardo. I said, because my whole vision was, the coolest part about the university is that we'll be able to catalog achievements by book. And so I want to put it out there, but by book number 20, that could be the book where I get the 6-figure job, which is really, really cool. So we'll see. Because like I said, while they say success leaves clues, and so while you might not get the exact results that I'm getting by the books that I'm reading in this order, in this time horizon, you can still track your progression of your goals through your development within the university. So by book 15, by book 20, by law number 7, you were able to do this. You were able to quit alcohol, or you were able to quit drugs, or you were able to, be celibate or abstinent for this amount of time, right? And really focus on just developing yourself as a man, about getting serious about the man you want to become for the woman you want to earn, right? You can, catalog when you got to your goal financial income. And for me, it's not, and this is something that I didn't mention, but I wanted to, and it's so important, that of what you're seeing me do in real time. Sorry, my contact is really, really dry. If I move my eye around, it might help. It does. Is with getting a higher income, I'm not going to increase my cost of living whatsoever. The change financially is going to be, I'm changing from my diet, food, and expenditure for my monthly food expenses to my bulking diet. But other than that slight increase, I'm not increasing anything else. And so that margin is what we're going to use to stack, to give ourselves that runway of freedom forever, right? Because the goal is, I don't need YouTube or anything that I'm doing with Ratlife to monetize for several years because of how I'm setting it up with the 9 to 5. And this is so important because you guys can do this too. You can pursue your goal, your dream, your passion in the hours before and after your Ratlife job. And the margin that you're creating from the gap of your overhead expenses, right? From your income to your overhead expenses, that gap that you're first using that allocation to just shovel off and pay off all your debt and the interest that your debt is accruing. Once you have all of that garbage behind you, right? And you're not giving it a FOMO, you don't give a fuck what anyone else is doing, you're focusing on your path, on your growth, on your freedom of escaping your rat life, man. Of freedom forever. Then that gap, you don't need to buy a new car, you don't need to buy any new garbage, you don't need to impress people you don't even fucking like. Buying shit that you don't want with money that you don't have to impress people you don't like, you're not buying into any of that garbage. You're using that money and stacking it, and stacking it, and stacking it, creating this, in the last book that we read, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, he calls it his independence fund. While that's being stacked, and that's your runway, right? That's your window. The thing that you're doing that's your actual goal, ambition, passion, right? Your purpose, it won't monetize at the start, but over time, it will. Whatever it is, it doesn't fucking matter. Whatever you love to do by you just doing it, you will find a way to monetize that in time. And the beauty about this is, this will give you the runway, and then once you have liftoff, if you're doing your goal, your dream, your ambition in the other hours of your day, and on your weekends, and on the holidays and all this, by the time that runway is out from your savings, then that engine, that rocket, that whatever the fuck, then that will kick in. And the income that will now produce from that delay will carry you to freedom perpetually. And then I saw this in a great video by Ty Lopez. He said, it's not about how much money you have, it's about how much purchasing power you have. He said, I was in Brazil and I took an Uber and it cost me 85 cents. That's the game, guys. It's not about how much you're earning. It's fucking irrelevant. In the book that we read, The Psychology of Money, book number 18, I shared this in the lecture. He said, my income was $1,800, minimum wage at the time. My overhead expenses was $1,000. I didn't go out, I didn't pay for taxis, and I saved $12,000 in 2 years. And then he did guitar musician playing. And he said, I knew I could get a couple gigs per month to cover my overhead expenses, so I knew I was free. And the guy said, yeah, but what about when you sold your company? He said, that just added more dollars into my bank account. He said, but what really changed my life is what I did at 22, which is that exact grind, which is exactly what I'm doing now. So that's the beauty about getting this next level job. That's the last frontier, because by not increasing my overhead expenses, while increasing the income, if you don't increase your lifestyle, then you have that gap, that margin that you can stack. That's your runway, giving you time, years. Let patience have her perfect work. It's one of the quotes from Acres of Diamonds by Russell Conwell, one of the first books of the university. By the time that monetizes, you won't need a 9-to-5 income. And if you have that patience, you'll be getting paid for doing what you love, right? Which for me, what would I be doing, right? If money was an issue, I'd be reading and I'd be traveling. That's it, you know? So I'm happy to make these videos, not only for the impact and betterment and value and growth and love and seeds that I'm planting under whose shade I'll never sit of other people around the world, millions one day in this garden, this beautiful garden that I'm building, but for the man that I get to become by doing this, by me teaching the personal development from these lectures, from this literature, I become so much more. I return it so much. Return is the wrong word. Retain. I retain it far greater than just by reading it, just by listening to it on an audio. And that's so important in terms of your application of your development. It's not only just listening to this, it's reflecting on it, it's considering it, it's putting it into practice, it's doing the actionables, the homework assignments. That's how you'll become more. New knowledge isn't new knowledge, doesn't mean shit if unused. New knowledge isn't necessarily something new, it's learning to behave in a way that we haven't previously behaved. Does that make sense? Okay, moving on. Do things for other people that require time, energy, thoughtfulness, and make it a point to find out. Oh, that's a different thing. That is how you elicit oxytocin. Do something for others that require time, thought, consideration, effort, care when they're not in the room. Practice that. Practice that. That could be a homework assignment. Do one thing. I'll make that. Homework. Do one thing. Do one thing. And this doesn't include the roses. Don't fucking try to do 2 homework assignments in one. Do something for someone else that requires time, thought, care, consideration when they're not in the room as a surprise they didn't even ask for it. Not expecting it. Not because of a fucking reason or a holiday. If this is a significant other, all the better, right? I'm not going to take you for granted. I'm going to remember I'm living what used to be a dream. You used to be a dream person for me that I now take for fucking granted. Yeah, let me not do that shit anymore. Let me go buy you flowers, but that was one homework assignment. I got another one to do. Let me write you a fucking handwritten letter. Let me take you on a nice date. Let me fucking court you like I did when I was courting you. Let me try to constantly still earn your love. Earn my fucking woman. Does that make sense? Don't be one of these motherfuckers that doesn't understand how finite this life is, right? And thinks, oh, I have forever. Oh, you're just a given for me. Fuck those motherfuckers. Live your life, dude, in that state of gratitude, of the beauty that this is finite. There's a quote from the movie Troy. He said, you'll never be more beautiful than you are right now. The gods envy us. They envy us because any moment could be our last. And it's so beautiful. I remember I dated a woman for a time that it was so much more beautiful because I knew it was an end. I knew I was going off to Europe. We only had like a month, 6 weeks together. And the time that we shared together was that much more precious because we both knew that it was coming to an end. So you have so much more gratitude and you cherish those moments way more than if this is just a given forever. But you can apply that to your long-term relationship. It's not a fucking given. They could die. They could wake up and fall for somebody else. You could, the list of what ifs could go on. Do that one homework assignment. Do one fucking thing for somebody else. It doesn't have to be a romantic interest or relationship or partner. That requires thought, care, consideration, efforts. Efforts. That's what this university is. Efforts. Give a shit, man. It's cool. Care. This is a separate point. Make it a point to find out the birthdays of your friends. And then he did this exercise. Transfer the dates into your calendar for the year, and then on the day, he would send them a gift or write them a letter. How many people do you know who do that? No one, man. No one. No one has an Excel spreadsheet where they have the people in their garden, their address, and their birthdays. It goes such a far way. Oh no, let me just wait for I don't have Facebook, but the Facebook notification, or when they post on their Instagram story for me to be like everybody else and reply. Versus the one who already knows their birthday and then goes out of their way to send them a gift or a handwritten letter. So much more meaningful, man. That's how you have friendships and relationships that last a fucking lifetime. Food for thought. Greet others with enthusiasm. With enthusiasm. We are interested in others when they are interested in us. So true. Smile. And this is in regards to changing your state. It's very important. I learned this from the book. This is a great quote. Action seems to follow feeling, but really action and feeling go together. By regulating the action, which is under the direct control of the will, we can indirectly regulate the feeling, which is not. As in, they say that, oh, I'm happy because I'm singing. No. I'm sorry. I sing when I'm happy. I sing when I'm happy. It's like, no. You're happy because you are singing. The way that you change your state, I learned this from Tony Robbins, is from changing your physiology and your focus. Physiology and focus. When you're singing, you're changing your breathing pattern. When you go to the gym, it's the same thing. When you're doing something like a lat pull down, it forces erect posture. It forces you changing your physiology, your focus, you're concentrating on that exercise, you're present, and it changes your breathing. You're not taking shallow fucking breaths, you're taking deep breaths. That's why people feel so much better after they go to the gym, even if they had a shit day, even if they're coming in, feeling like they got wrecked. But you come out of it with a sense of, wow, I feel great. Yeah, why? Because I changed my focus. I stopped focusing on my fucking problems. I was focusing on giving it my all in my training session. I changed my physiology, my posture, and my breathing, right? That's why people are addicted to cigarettes. I learned this again from Tony Robbins. It's not from the fucking nicotine in the cigarette. It's for the first time in their fucking day, what do? They slow things down. They take a deep fucking breath. This conditioned their breathing, their physiology. So actions seem to follow feeling, but if you want to regulate emotion, the easiest way to do, rather than just being like, oh, I want to feel happy now, but you don't, even though you can, it's like a muscle. You can change your state like that if you have that development, if you've conditioned that skill, just like a muscle, right? But people don't. People don't have that emotional development, right? Where they can go from a state of fear to gratitude like that. Because I'll share this with you. You can't be in those two states at the same time. You can't harbor gratitude and fear simultaneously. You have to forfeit one to embody the other. So people don't spend time in their development transitioning into that. And I learned this from Joe Dispenza. He said, anyone can meditate, right, for 15 minutes or longer, and then be in that state of serenity, of calm, of tranquility. Anybody can do that. He said, the key to mastery of your emotional state is how quickly you can come back to that state of serenity when adversity, conflict, circumstance, conditions, interfere with that. As in, when you get this altercation or in this argument from another person, how quickly can you go back to a state of calm? That is development. Not, oh yeah, when I'm home laying fucking down on my nice pillows in the air-conditioned, apartment of California, then I can be in this nice, calm state. That doesn't mean shit, right? How quickly can I remain calm, stoic, emotionally controlled amidst hardship, adversity, stress? That's when you know you're about it. But, like I said, it's like a muscle that you need to train and regulate. It's a lot easier to regulate the action to elicit the emotion than it is to just say, I'm going to be grateful and super happy and ecstatic and euphoric. Now, go. Food for thought. Next. We said all this. Yeah, so that's the importance of forcing things. Like fake it till you make it. It has that premise of it. That's why you should smile, because even if it's fake at first, eventually it'll turn into a genuine smile. That's why you should sing, because even if it's bullshit at first, you will feel happier by the change in your physiology and focus. The easiest way to choose to live in a state of depression is focusing on what's happening to you. Life happens to you, woe is fucking me, right? All the problems. And what you're focusing on, reliving the events that possibly induced your state of depression over and over and over again. I know people, coworkers, who are still victims to something that happened to them fucking 20 years ago. And it's just like, if that's your story, then yes, then true, then you're right? But at what fucking point do you stop feeling sorry for yourself? At what point do you have the courage to flip the script and say, how did this happen for me? Why did I need to go through this? What if I focused on the opportunity in this? The man or woman that I now became by overcoming this, by enduring this, by persevering. How much growth did I get? How much better of a person I am now to help somebody else going through the same thing, right? All these things are conducive to your growth, to shifting that state from depression, which is a fucking choice, to choosing to be someone who's empowered, right? Who perseveres, who's a hero, not a fucking victim. It's a choice from focus and physiology, right? We learned this in Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. You can choose what you focus on, the meaning that you give things. So focus. This happened to me, this happened for me. Focus. This lack, right? You can focus on what's lacking, what's missing from your life, or everything that you have to be grateful for. Focus. The action, the meaning. To me, for me. Woe is me. The action that you're going to take. Right? You can choose to wallow in self-fucking-pity and do nothing. Or you can choose to do something about your situation, to remedy it, to persevere, to overcome, right? Be that man in the arena. All right. Homework assignment, smile. Wow. Not too difficult. Smile at a stranger. And I said smile at the world. A lot of homework assignments in this lecture. All right. Names. I put this in the note. It's so important. It's so important. This is one of the biggest things that I learned from this book. How to Win Friends and Influence People, that I've used for years. It's golden. Golden, you were never taught this in school. The sweetest sound to any person is the sound of their own name. The sweetest sound. You can test this if you think I'm lying. Next time you're at a register, cashier, look at their name tag and casually slip into conversation. Hey, did you find everything okay? Jessica, I wasn't able to find this and this, but it's all right. And they're like, oh, you'll strike up conversation. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing pretty good. Christina, how are you doing? How's your day? Oh, You'll see them light up because people love to hear their own name, because if you play on their subconscious. You remembering someone's name, what is that undertone? I'm worth remembering. You're filling their significance cup of I'm valued, I'm important, I matter, just by saying their fucking name. It's golden. It works in dating too, especially if you can harness it with tonality, as in if you're talking with somebody and you say their name, don't say it a lot, don't abuse this, it comes off creepy. But if you slip their name into the conversation and you bring the conversation to a whisper, I'm giving a lot of secrets here, but the whisper insinuates I trust you, because we whisper, it feels like a secret. So if they're like, hey, how are you doing? Jessica, I really had to do that, blah, blah. It's all very powerful in your game, in your seduction, in your in however you want to do it, right? But that's so important. The sweetest sound to any person in the world, is the sound of their own name. So the homework is call strangers by their name in casual conversation. The sweetest sound. But it's important, because I put this for names, to reprogram your identity. Just like we forbid the word T-I-R-E-D, I'm T-I-R-E-D, don't ever fucking say, I'm bad at remembering names. I've actually shifted my focus, my identity, to say, I have a great memory. Because very recently, I'm doing this consciously over and over and over, where there's something that I need to remember. A base example is I'm doing Stairmaster, and I do it for 75 minutes, but it cuts off every 20 minutes. I say, I'm gonna remember to stop at 15 minutes. Of course, I'm gonna remember because I have a great memory. It's something that it's a lie that I have to tell myself over and over, but as soon as you believe it, as you think, so you are. Same thing with fucking names. If you harness and practice and reiterate an identity that says, I'm bad, I'm terrible at remembering names, what do you think you're gonna be? Do you think you're gonna be somebody who's great at remembering names? No, you're gonna be someone who's very shitty at remembering names. That's why I learned this from Andrew Tate. You get to construct your mental model. You get to construct it, as in, what benefit does it serve you to put yourself down in any way? I'm weak, I'm bad at remembering names, I'm T-I-R-E-D, when you could, and you have the option, to only have an uplifting and empowering mental model. I'm strong, I'm indefatigable, I'm amazing at remembering names. I always remember people's names. I have such a great memory. You get to gift that to yourself for free, for nothing. Even if it's a lie, at first, it won't be over time. But if you condition a shitty identity, you become what you think about. You become what you say you are. And you will work subconsciously or consciously to prove your identity. So if you say, I'm bad at remembering names, then you'll prove it by being shitty and not trying and not putting in the effort to remember names. You'll substantiate your claim until you prove it true. Food for fucking thought. This isn't about remembering names. This is about building an empowering identity for yourself, so you get to become your best self. I'm fucking amazing at remembering names. I'm the big G, right? I'm indefatigable, right? I say this to myself when I look at myself in the mirror. I say, oh my God, I'm fucking gorgeous. I'm sexy as fuck, Jesus. And then I go even one step further and I say, of course you are. Of course you are. It's so important I'm speaking for myself personally, who's had a history of horrific internal dialogue. But now I get to practice it. Again, even if it's a lie you have to tell yourself until you believe it. And it's just like, I'll look at myself in the mirror and I'll go up and I'll go side. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. And it's such a good feeling. Where you can look at yourself and actually be happy with who you see and be accepting and have self-love that you've never practiced before. So it's important when you tie it into the identity of what identity you want as a man, as a young man, as a woman, right? I don't want a disempowering, shitty, negative, hindering identity. I want the best possible mental model that I can construct, right? And the beauty about this is it's completely up to you. You can be whoever the fuck you decide you want to be in terms of your identity, right? And then the beauty about it is you will become that person just by fucking reiteration, right? As in, you look at yourself in the mirror, you're like, no, I'm not ugly, I'm not unattractive, I'm fucking gorgeous. And I'm gonna keep telling myself that until you fucking believe it. You have to be that voice, especially if you have nobody else in your life giving you those compliments, giving you that specific praise and recognition that you've been craving forever. I've told this to people close to my garden, and I've said, what I've craved for the longest time is belief. What I learned from Jordan Peterson, all belief is love. As in, because I have no one in my life who will give me the gift of belief, who will give me specific praise and recognition, that's something that I have, if you think about that as a cup that's been depleted for so fucking long, I can completely resonate with what we're talking about in this lecture, because that's something that I would love to hear. I would love to get those, good morning texts or those compliments where backed by not flattery and bullshit and just, fluffy words, but specific praise and recognition. I would love to be given that gift of belief, especially to somebody who I admire, to somebody whose word holds a lot of weight. I would love to hear those things. But until that day, until those people come into your garden, you have to be that champion for yourself. You have to be that cheerleader. You have to, or you don't have to, you can do whatever the fuck you want, but you only benefit from constructing the most amazing mental model for yourself, right? Somebody who looks at themselves and compliments themselves. When was the last time you said I love you to yourself? When was the last time you called yourself beautiful? When was the last time you didn't put yourself fucking down, even jokingly? Your mind can't differentiate between the two. It can't differentiate between jest and reality. So when you laugh about, I'm stupid, no, your mind takes fucking note of that and says, oh, okay, belief system, I am blank. I am stupid, got it, check. And so even if you're fucking doing it as laughter, as jest, deep down, right, at the core of your programming, of your software, you will believe that bullshit for yourself. So it's very important, and I'm trying to hammer this point home. Put into practice an empowering identity moving forward. Fuck the past, we can't change that, right? What are we gonna do today? Who can we become today? And from our actions today, who, this is the exciting part, can we become tomorrow and going forward? You got it? All right. Make it a policy to remember and honor the names of your friends and business associates. That's from the book. Secret to giving recognition and specific praise. Take notice of every detail to which you know the person has given consideration, considerable effort and thought, and tell them. So that's the important. Then their effort doesn't go unnoticed and they feel seen. They feel valued, appreciated. You'll fill their fucking significance cup. The greatest urge and desire in human nature, talks about this in the book, is the desire, the craving to feel appreciated, right? And I'm not alone in that sentiment, dude. Everyone, that's the number one human need, significance, which is a broad term for saying I fucking matter, right? I feel appreciated, loved, somebody gives a fuck about me. My existence means something, right? I'm important, I'm not, people crave that and they'll do anything to try to elicit that. You understand? You make them feel seen, understood, valued, appreciated. Next. Magic in remembering and calling people by their names. To them, it's the sweetest and most important sound in the world. Never converse with others about you. We said this before. Talk, insist about them. Listen intently with edge of your seat presence, rapt attention, be genuinely interested in them with specific questions. And there's a good quote, we'll discuss this later, by Disraeli, who says, this might be the last one in this page. I think I have it memorized, but I didn't want to butcher it. But the premise is, talk to a man about themselves and they'll talk for hours. We'll get back to it, but essentially that's the sentiment, the premise. Nothing is more flattering than exclusive attention, presence. And this is my commentary, but why? Because of quality time. You're giving them a part of your life. That's why in terms of the 5 love languages that we went over in one of our books in this university, I think it was book number 5 or 6, by Dr. Gary Chapman. My top 3 have to be words of affirmation, quality time, and physical touch. Why quality time is so important is because you're giving someone the most valuable thing you have in this life, which is your time, which is a finite thing. As in, I care about you so much that I'm willing to give you something that I will never get back again, which is my time, right? Because I have this much. Imagine like an hourglass that's sinking, right? And then at the end of the game, then you're dead, which is the reality. You are so important to me that in the very limited amount of time that I have in this life, I want to give you this amount of it. There's nothing greater than you can give someone else than your complete and utter time and attention. That is the greatest gift you can give anyone in this life. So I put nothing is more flattering than exclusive, I didn't put it, extract that from the notes, than giving somebody fucking presence. And I love it so much. It means the world to me. As in, I'm not mentally somewhere else. I'm not on my phone. I'm not thinking about this. I'm fucking here. And I love when I've had that before in the past, where you and the other person, it's just the two of you. You're talking together, you're here together, you're present in this moment. And you know that because there's 100% presence, passion, intimacy. There's intimacy in presence because Simon Sinek calls it, you have a space for creativity of teaching and learning. Teaching and learning, that's intimacy. Teaching and learning, as in you're both here discussing, learning, reflecting, healing, considering, growing, and it's a beautiful symbiotic experience. So I love that. The greatest gift, you'll win their friendship for a lifetime. Completely true. I proved that when I did those phone calls and in person. Next, story of Lincoln doing all the talking. He merely wanted a friendly, sympathetic listener to whom he could unburden himself. So yeah, there was a story where Lincoln was talking with someone and he felt so much better by the end of it just because he had somebody to talk to. And I can attest to this personally and why I feel like I'm in such a good place now to receive the potential of this new job. And it's because I had the most beautiful experience with one of the administrators. Amazing woman, her name's Kathy. And it was, oh my God, it was like 2 hours of just nothing but healing about the horrific nature of my current establishment of where I work and the harassment and the abuse from these horrific people in these roles of leadership and power, the antithesis of fucking leaders. And to hear her, to gain her lens from a managerial standpoint and to give her my lens and for us to see the full picture that neither of us could, it was such a healing process. I got so much closure from it. I go into work now with such a calm, such a level of emotional control and stoicism, being able to see through the facade like the fucking wizard from Wizard of Oz when the curtain comes out. And it was so beautiful and so uplifting from me just being able to share and vent and to have that sympathetic ear or empathetic ear, going through the same thing of just horrific leadership, of garbage, of, yeah, it was beautiful. And I told her, I said, you gave me such a gift. And the sentiment was reciprocated, or felt, that's what she said. It was mutual. So I loved it. But I'm not Abraham Lincoln, by any means, but he did the same thing when he unburdened himself to that friendly, sympathetic listener. Sigmund Freud testimonial, you've no idea what it meant to be listened to like that. So it's one of his, what do you call a psychologist clients? One of his clients. They said that in a testimonial. They said, you've no idea what it meant to be listened to like that. And I shared this when I told you the story of when I gave out my phone number. There are people out there, dude, who they've never had a friend. They've never had somebody that just fucking listened to them and actively listened to them. As in, you're asking questions, you're there, you're not just, yeah, sure, and fucking scrolling on your phone. You're there, present. Dude, there's euphoria in that for the other person. Why? You're giving them the gift of quality time, the greatest gift, presence. You're making them feel valued, appreciated, important, like they fucking matter, like their woes and stresses are valid. And just by them being able to air and articulate their thoughts and make sense of, everything better for them, they get so much more closure, reflection, healing, growth, right, from that gift that you give them. There was a good Instagram video that I saw, and it said there's 4 H's. Do you need to be helped? Very important in terms of conflict resolution, particularly with women. Because guys, and I can speak for myself personally, are so quick to go into solution mode. But I've learned as I've developed, people don't want solutions. And so there's 4 H's. So before you are in a conversation with someone, ask them, do you need to be helped? Do you need to be heard? Do you need to be held? And then she added, her husband said, do you need to be humped? And then we could actually solve your problem. Quote from Jack Sparrow, the problem isn't the problem is your attitude about the problem. Some people don't want solutions, they just want to be fucking heard, they just want to, vent for 10 minutes, they just want to be, held or humped. This battery's gonna die, let me switch it really quick. And we're back on. Nice, welcome to the latest episode of Ratlife University. There we go. So, yes, you have no idea what it meant to be listened to like that. Encourage others to talk about themselves and their accomplishments. be a great listener. Talk in terms of the other person's interests. So this is all a summary. What is it? So this is a good question to ask yourself. Hypothetical, food for thought. What is there about him, I wrote this horrifically, that I can honestly admire? What's something about them that I could honestly admire? And if you think, oh, there's nothing that possibly I could admire about this person, then you're an arrogant prick. Yeah, fuck you. There's always something, if you have security within yourself, to admire about somebody else. Is it the way they dress? Is it the way they carry themselves? Is it their modesty? Is it their humility? Is it their punctuation? Punctionality? You know, what time they arrive, how they come in early, the way that they speak, their eloquence, their grace, their kindness, their compassion, their consideration. I don't know what it is. What is something that I could honestly admire about them? And I'll tell you this. We view others the way that we see ourselves. So whatever you see in others that's amazing, that's a quality that you see within yourself. So you're like, wow, I really love your smile. Do you love your smile? Wow, you're such a positive person, man. And that makes you happy? Are you a positive person? That's why, you see other people, and this is very important. I shared this with my little sister because she's like, everybody is this and this and this. And I gave her that candor and I said, Lila, you see other people the way that you see yourself. So if you don't view others in that lens of love and this, and you just view them with just all this hate and all this spite and all this bitterness and all this anger, that's the way that you view yourself, is with all of this self-frustration and self-anger and self-bitterness and self-spite, right? Your self-love is here. But as soon as you fill your cup and improve your self-image, your self-love, your self-respect, from doing things like keeping promises that you make to yourself, boosting your self-confidence, keeping your word, right? Having this archive, I wrote it right here. This is perfect. The way to develop self-confidence is to do the thing you fear to do and get a record of successful experiences behind you. The more that you can do that, then you will exalt your self-confidence, self-image, self-respect, self-love to the point where when you view others, that's the lens you now view others through. Food for thought. All right. Always, so that's important. What is there about the person that I can honestly admire? And then share it with them. Crazy thought. Always make the other person feel important. The deepest desire. To be appreciated. Significant. Any young man who has such an exalted, this is a hilarious quote, any young man who has such an exalted opinion of my ability must be brilliant. It's so true. We like people who are interested in us. Talk to people about themselves, this is the quote from Disraeli, and they will listen for hours. So again, the next time you have the opportunity to talk with someone, to catch up with someone, try withholding the urge to talk about your fucking self for 5 minutes and just veer the conversation about them. And then when they try to probe you a little bit, say, you can answer it very quickly, very briefly, very vaguely, but then get right back into talking about them. If you can do that and do that and do that, I swear, because you'll prove this when you do it yourself, they'll be like, no, enough about me. I want to know about you. But the reason that they want to know about you so much is because they feel so seen and so heard and so appreciated and so valued and so important. You can make people feel that way by being genuinely interested in them. And the way that you do that is through your conversation where you veer it. Food for thought. So try that. I know you just want to fucking talk about yourself. We all do. We all give a shit about our goals, our dreams, our ambitions, our fears, right? Try to put that to the side and just be present and there for the other person. And then you'll what? You'll win friends and influence people by for 5 minutes not thinking about your fucking self. Wow, what a crazy concept. Oh my goodness. Okay. You can't win an argument. Very important. You can't win an argument. And I put play it out. To what end? Even if you win the fucking argument in the moment, you lose the other person, right? If it was a sale and you were like, no, this is right, this is what the fine print said, this was the deadline, and even if you win, you lose, because you lose them as a customer forever. If you are in a conversation with a woman and you just need to get your point across that you won the argument, again, you lose. So they make this very clear in the book. Don't argue with people. Don't fucking bring yourself to that level. If some person has a stupid stance and a stupid criticism, be like, dude, yeah, you're right. Yes, totally. See ya, next. Don't converse with arguments. Don't lower yourself to argumentation, because even if you win, you lose. And then this is very important. Let others save face. There's a good quote from Harvey Specter in one of my favorite shows, Suits. He said, never destroy a man in public when you can achieve the same thing in private. Let people save face. I saw this in a very accurate video. He said, that's how you get school shooters. It's disrespect. This is from Andrew Tate, who said that. When you humiliate someone, when you criticize, condemn someone in a public setting, that's when it goes too far, because you're not allowing them to save face. Not only are you making them feel like shit, you're making them feel like shit and adding insult to injury by the other people that are present there. And so if you think about people feeling non-valued, not appreciated, that you take that to an exponential level, but in the negative sense, so is that logarithmic level? I could be butchering that entirely, but I think that's the graph. This is exponential and then this is logarithmic, where it goes like that, I think. But it's probably not applicable in this vernacular. Imagine the severity of the damage that you do to the person when you fucking put them down and criticize and condemn them and have them not save face in public amongst their peers. That's where you get real resentment. So embody the quote of Harvey Specter: never destroy someone in public when you can achieve the same thing in private. It'll work wonders for you, that even if you're getting criticism or argumentation or lashback or whatever from a person, you embody an incredible leader when you can stand there unfazed, where you can keep your cool, where you can stay stoic, where you can have that emotional control, and then deal with the matter in private. You can apply that to the workplace. You can apply that as a parent in terms of argumentation, altercation in front of your fucking children. You can be that guy. You can be that masculine leader, right? That others look to follow. You're leading by example. And so, again, let others save face. Don't criticize. Don't condemn. That was the first homework assignment. Don't fucking argue, right? You're better than that. You're becoming a made man through the noble quest of this university. This is Ratlife University. Next. No man who is resolved, this is a quote from Abraham Lincoln. No man who is resolved to make the most of himself can spare time for personal contention. I love this quote. Still less can he afford to take the consequences, including the vitation of his temper and the loss of self-control. It's just the way that was written. I thought that was so beautiful. That's why I wanted to include it. Is this I like this quote a lot too. This is self-reflection. Is this difficult situation an opportunity for me? How beautiful of a lens to view a possible circumstance or condition or altercation or seemingly negative events as an opportunity for me. It allows you to expand your mindset, expand your awareness, expand your personal development. How is this happening for me? How is this a potential opportunity for me? Crisis and opportunity, one and the same. We learned this from Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma. Is this difficult situation an opportunity for me? And I put my own commentary to practice debate. When I traveled and I would converse with people who had completely different views from me, very liberal in the sense, not in terms of their spirit, I have a very liberal spirit, but very liberal in their values. People who are pro-negativity, who are pro-depression, who are pro all this bullshit. And those were opportunities for me to practice my rhetoric and my development and ability as a speaker. Who can engage in debates without resorting to name calling, who can keep his cool. All an opportunity for me to see if I can win the other person to my way of thinking by offering them a new lens. Oftentimes this fell on deaf ears that they hadn't considered before. But again, an opportunity for me. In other words, other times I would be like, I don't feel like doing this practice. I'm talking to a fucking child, and would literally, the acne-ridden faces, and it's just like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You are the results of the woke garbage found in modern day education, and that's why you believe what you believe. And you don't have the emotional capacity to understand that you only believe what you believe because of how you've been raised up until this point in your life. And when I would gain all of that, I would embody what we learned in one of our books, I don't remember which one, that said, don't waste $1,000 of emotion on a 5-cent irritation. And I applied that to my job in my workplace. You have this aura that, he's somebody who doesn't give a shit. And it's like, no, I don't give a shit about things that don't matter, such as raising my cortisol, lowering my immune system, right? Manufacturing adrenaline over your dumb ass. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to age myself horrifically because of your fucking stupidity. So yeah, I'll come across as nonchalant, somebody who doesn't give a shit, somebody who doesn't care. But just no, you're not worth the fucking time of day of my emotional expenditure, of my beautiful garden of energy, right? Because I'm standing guard at the doorway of my mind. Get the fuck out of my garden, you fucking weed. Next, what other opportunity could this be for you? Enemy, to turn an enemy into a friend. Emotional control practice. Food for thought. You cannot teach a man anything. You can only help him to find it within himself. Quote from Galileo. And I love that so much. And I put use, smiley face. I may be wrong. Use this quote whenever you get criticism from a fucking hater or somebody, offering you criticism. Say this immediately and disarm them. I may be wrong. I frequently am. Let's examine the facts. I swear I've used that almost verbatim, where I would get criticism. It was after the first time I read this book, I put that into practice, where I would get, criticism from somebody else after a piece of content I posted or something a statement that I made. And then I put that into practice after they, shit talked me. I said, I responded just completely happy. I may be wrong. I frequently am. Let's examine the facts. I don't think I said the last part of examining the facts because I didn't want to, continue the conversation with this person who just felt the need to try to, be a piece of shit and bring me down. But I said to end the conversation and to practice that emotional control and maturity and development and, becoming the man I want to become. I put that to practice. I may be wrong. I frequently am. And then he's going to say later on, and it says it right here, I'll share it. Come to think it over, and this is so good, I literally have used this, almost verbatim. Come to think it over, I don't entirely agree with it myself. Not everything I wrote yesterday appeals to me today. I am glad to learn what you think on the subject. The next time you're in the neighborhood, you must visit us, and we'll get the subject threshed out for all time. So here's a hand clasp over the miles, and I am yours truly, yours sincerely. And I love that so much. Imagine that. Imagine you're talking with someone, and they're, thinking they're going to get under your skin, thinking that, oh, dude, I really got him by shitting on his goals, his dreams, his perspectives, his whatever. And you literally, it's like that scene in 8 Mile where he just completely, shits on himself, self-deprecations, yes, I am white trash. Yes, I do live in a trailer park. Or yes, my mom is all these things. Not my mom. Not relevant to the story. My mom's an angel. Number 1 mom in the world. Come to think of it over, I don't entirely agree with it myself. And then see how quickly you can disarm them. And I had this experience with this one woman who I met in Romania. I met her in Bucharest, and she would follow me on Instagram. We'd be friends after the fact, after we shared a very brief time together when I was in Bucharest, Romania. And there was a recurring theme where all she would do is shit talk, and all she would do is invite negativity and criticism to any single thing that I posted. And I practiced that so hard, just killing her with kindness. But it got to the point where she said something, and I said, do you notice a theme in this message thread? And she's like, what do you mean? I said, you only invite negativity. You only put me down. And I was just so straight up with her. And it got to the point where I had to block her dumbass because she was so insistent on being a fucking negative bitch to, see you next Tuesday. And it's just like, you don't understand it. Why do people feel the need to be just so fucking negative? And the reason is this. She was somebody who was convinced on the idea of depression. And when you offer the consideration that depression is a choice, people resent the fuck out of you for it, because that insinuates that the state that they've lived in for the past X amount of years was a decision made by them. That threatens to shatter their fucking world and their identity, to consider that I deserve the life that I have. I am where I deserve to be mentally. This was a fucking choice. This is my fault. People don't have the courage to confront that. And you offering that idea for consideration, they'll resent the fuck out of you for it. And she was one of them, because I insisted on that stance, that depression's a fucking choice. As in, you choose what you focus on. You choose if you relive that event or not. You choose to say this happened fucking to me and not for me. You choose to fucking bitch and moan, woe is me, pity party, motherfucker. And you choose to take no fucking action. I don't have an ounce of sympathy for those people, right? If that's your identity, as you think, so you are. If you think it's real, it is. Your life, I don't care, right? But don't try to validate that bullshit story with me. 3/4 of the people you will ever meet are hungering and thirsting for sympathy. Give it to them and they will love you. Just like with the laws of power that we're going over, I wanted to make it a point that you're a student in this university. You don't take everything for face value. So I'm going to say that part again. 3/4 of the people you will ever meet are hungering and thirsting for sympathy. Give it to them and they will love you. Do you know what I put underneath that? I put, fuck no. Don't coddle and offer sympathy to these sympathy eliciting, dopamine eliciting victim motherfuckers. If you actually love them and care about them, you'll tell them to go fuck themselves and you won't validate their bullshit story. That's a gift. That's a gift that you're imparting onto them. You do them no fucking favors by coddling them. It makes them feel good. They're fucking craving for it. They're craving for someone to validate their bullshit story, right? The best thing you can do to those victim motherfuckers is say, no, fuck you, fuck your victim narrative, go do something about it, quit your fucking pity party, you bitch, right? So many people in this world today need to hear that, right? But we live in a world of sheer cowardice, where people are too much of a pussy to speak the truth. And that is, as in, quit bitching and moaning for yourself, someone dreaming to live out your worst day, quit feeling sorry for your fucking self and do something about it. Because I don't care, right? You live in a vacuum of privilege and luxury. Because if you actually had any fucking problems, you wouldn't have the time to bitch and moan about your self-woe, right? If you were actually in a fucking war zone, if you were actually missing a limb, right? But you're so obsessed with your own, horrific, like the fact that you have the time of day to wallow in your own pity party in your world tells me you don't have any real fucking problems. So because I love you and because I care about you and I want the best for you, go fuck yourself. How many people do you know who need to hear that? And again, it goes against the literature in this book. That's the importance of being a student in this university. Don't take any of these books and what you're reading in them for face value. Stand guard at the doorway of your mind. Think for yourself, right? And that includes the things that I'm saying. I'm founding my opinions and my belief systems in the pursuit of truth, right? That's Tarek Houck's truth, principle. That's it. I don't veer from that. And so when I see shit like that, yes, they'll love you, you'll win their love, but you don't do them any fucking favors, right? And I want to be that example. And so you're not going to get a fucking ounce of sympathy from me if you're a victim motherfucker. I've had clients with cancer. I've seen people at the gym with missing limbs. Don't tell me your bullshit story, because I don't give a fuck. And I'm not giving you an ounce of sympathy. I don't give a fuck if you love me or not, or hate me as a result of that. You can go quite literally fuck yourself, because I know people who actually have real problems and they would trade fucking places with you in an instant. But you are so much of an unaware bitch that you have the audacity to fucking moan about your situation. All that reflects to me is a complete lack of fucking perspective. Because if you harbored any, you wouldn't have the audacity, like I just said, to propose your woes, right? It's like you going up to the person who's missing a leg and having the audacity to tell them that your foot hurts. go fuck yourself, man. So again, food for thought, but I love that I shared that because it ties in with development and personal development and being an actual student when it comes to learning. And I studied classical civilization, the study of ancient Greece and ancient Rome, when I was an undergrad at UCLA. And we have about 1% of the surviving world, material from the surviving world from antiquity. As in, we have to go off of 1% of the surviving material to paint a picture of what life was like back then. And so you have to filter in through a lot of bullshit. You have to be have a very high degree of discretion, of discernment in your analysis of archaeology, of just artifacts, what have you. So it taught me to be a very critical thinker, to think for myself, to be like, what, this is probably bullshit. This is probably incredibly biased. It's like I don't remember which poet it was, but the poet was writing about how the best kind of man is a poet. And it's like, yeah, someone who's a poet would probably say that. And it's having that fucking awareness, that cognizance, that stand guard at the doorway of your mind, that perspicacity, right? My unmatched perspicacity coupled with sheer indefatigability makes me a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor. Be a student of life, right? Think for yourself. Next. I may be wrong frequently, and let's examine the facts. Works LOL. And I put, the modest way in which I propose my opinions procured them a readier reception and less contradiction. Quote from Benjamin Franklin. It's going into a conversation with something to consider. You know, I was thinking about this, not ordering things around and saying, this is the fact, this is the fact. So Benjamin Franklin was a very modest diplomat. Excuse me. Inception. I put this. Talks about in terms of how to win friends and influence people, how to win other people to your way of thinking. It's planting an idea in their head that they come to the conclusion on their own. Quite effective. So Inception, that's what Inception is from that movie. Plant the seed in the form of a thought, some food for consideration to break through someone's wall. And then so that's an idea. We're done with that, so we're moving on. I admitted that he was absolutely right and I was absolutely wrong. I admitted it quickly, openly, and with enthusiasm. So another way to disarm people, particularly in the realm of conflict resolution, is you come at them that you're in the wrong. Immediately, emphatically, and then the person who is, really upset with you, they'll begin to defend you. Like, oh no, it's not that big of a deal. It's like, no, it was terrible. I was late and this, and it's that same sentiment of sort of like beating them to the punch. You take the wind out of their sails when you do that. So, yes. When you are right, be gentle and tactful, right? Be modest about it. Don't be a dickhead. To win others to your way of thinking, modestly. And when you're wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. I love this idea. That's why I wrote it down, obviously. This is so important. I've used this. I think we'll find that the points on which we differ are few and the points on which we agree are many. I use this with that woman. Her name is Natalie. Criticism. I think we'll find that our differences are quite few and our agreements are many. And it's so true. Think about this in the political sphere right now, where it's you versus me. No. What if we just fucking disagree on one thing and you're not my actual enemy? How crazy of a thought. But they have all of the sheep fighting against themselves to keep them distracted while they fuck you. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, relationally. Don't want to get into the discussion of how many women and families are not being born, how many kids are not being born, how many women are not having children, how they're not insinuating and encouraging the idea of marriage, of having children, of God. No, it's pursue your fucking career. It's all this bullshit. So what's the result? And then it's that pride garbage. And so what's the result? Over 20% of Gen Zs identifying as a form of LGBT, LMNOP. And so think for yourself when you are seeing these things. Why? Why do they have it to where this is my income? Oh, I'm getting my salary increase, but when I do the math and inflation's at 3.2%, but this increase is 1.4, oh wow, I'm actually a slave. I'm actually not progressing in the slightest. I'm not going anywhere, okay? Why are they promoting promiscuity and degeneracy and taking drugs and festivals and this boss babe, dumb bitch culture? I don't know. Why is pride and the trans flag and all the stupid fucking garbage in the classroom with children? I don't know. I don't know why this is a thing. Why? Ask yourself. Stand guard at the doorway of your fucking mind. See what's going on, man. It's happening in real time. Food for thought. I think we'll find that the points on which we agree and differ are few. That's why I lost my train of thought for a second. When you realize that, you'll realize that they're trying to fuck me in every category of my life to keep me as a docile, a numb, a perpetually distracted, depressed slave. So you doing things like focusing on your mental health, on going to the gym, on meditating, on inviting God into your life, all of these things are you resisting that slave fucking programming where you're not a sheep, where you're not a cog in the wheel, a rat in the maze, where you actually stand a chance to escape the rat life. The financial rat life, the relational rat life, the physical rat life, the fucking a life of perpetual slavery, man. It doesn't have to be that way. You can be free. It starts here before you're ever free out here, right? I love the quote from Andrew and Tristan when they were in jail. He said, I am more free than some of you will ever be because they were free up here. And I've had that same feeling. I've been literally up until a week ago where I literally was at that low. And Kathy said something so beautiful. And we were talking about God and she said, the only way out is through. The only way out is through. And after that discussion with her, I really felt like I shared with her a story about the buffalo is the only animal who, when a storm comes, they go through it. Others will stay where they are and sort of take shelter. Others will try to, go this way, and they perpetuate the time that they're in the storm. But because the buffalo knows that if I go into the storm head first, that will decrease the amount of time of occupying that storm, and it'll make it as short as it possibly can be by going head first into it, then it'll be the shortest amount of time that I endure that, storm of my life. And I love that idea so much that the only way out is through. So I don't know how I got on that topic, but it's the ever more importance to understand that the possibility of freedom starts with you being free in your mind. Didn't lose my train of thought. And literally that, to me, and that conversation with Kathy, it felt like I finally got through the storm. It felt like I finally made it through. It felt like I learned all of the lessons that I needed to go through in this hard-won victory of this season of my life, to where now I'm finally in a position to receive, whether that's receiving as a grant, whether that's receiving, this my dream woman, whether that's receiving the six-figure job, whether that's receiving, going on this trip soon. I finally feel like I'm in a place to receive from the courage to pursue, from the perseverance of making it to until, right? We discussed belief, potential, action, results over time until. The gift and the rewards, right, that you receive by not giving up, by doing your best. So, to finish, in terms of the last group of this, we only have a couple more pages. We're literally almost done. Okay, I think we'll find we hammered that point out. I like this. Is it a parable? The sun then told the wind that gentleness and friendliness were always stronger than fury and force. And so the idea is encouragement and praise, not criticism, goes the longest way. And I put in the form of job threats, in the form of saving face, in the form of condemnation, as in the worst fucking way to motivate and inspire an employee to work harder or increase their performance or productivity is to threaten them with their fucking job like a dumbass, a dumb bitch. And I've seen people in the place that I work, and that's their form of motivation for their direct reports, their subordinates. It's just like, you're such a fucking idiot. You have no idea what it means to be a leader. Because if you knew what do you call it? In the fucking slightest bit of what it meant to actually be a leader, then your default would be encouragement, praise, presence, recognition, sincerity. Hey, I noticed your performance is down. What's going on? Not saying, oh, hey, your performance is down. We're going to cut you. We're going to fire you. We're going to put you on a work plan if you don't improve. Stupid motherfuckers, right? Crazy. Moving on. Look at all things from the other person's point of view, kind of a summary. Get them to say yes, yes. So this is a pro tip in terms of sales, and it's about psychology. If a person is in the habit of saying no, pride comes into play. And even if they're wrong, and if they change their belief, they don't want to lose face, right? They want to save face, so they'll, harden on their stance, even if it's not what they actually believe. But if you get them in the practice of saying yes, 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 statistically, they're more likely to say yes over here. So if you get them saying yes to these small things, then when you invite, well, this kind of makes sense, right? In terms of this being in your best interest at this price range for this deal, it's the best thing for you. Yes, because you've conditioned the yes, 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 yes. That has to make sense. So try it. Get other people saying yes, yes, it's an idea from the book, and it works. And then the next point, let the other person do all the talking. They will ask about you. So true. Next time you're in a conversation, next time you're catching up with a friend or a romantic person, or you're on a date, just get them talking about themselves, and you will stimulate so much interest from them within you by not talking about yourself, but by being and practicing genuine interest in the other person. I remarked, I must be his most troublesome customer. His tone of voice changed immediately. And I put, and this is what he said, not the first time I was behind on payments. So again, there was an altercation, a confrontation, and he went directly to the person and he said, I must be your worst customer, or your worst tenant. I'm behind on my payments, behind on my rent. And then you get the other person, again, feeling, you fill their cup of significance, of importance, of value, that their feelings, what once were first anger, resentment, spite, but you've killed them with kindness and compassion and understanding, and you're thinking about, man, I must be the worst fucking tenant or customer that you ever have to deal with. And then you get them talking about their actual, worst people, and you invite so much compassion and validation for their initial anger. That's how you win friends and influence people to where their resentment, oh, you need to pay this full amount in full or else you'll be delinquent, otherwise, we'll put the notice of dismissal on your thing. You know what? You're such a great person. You made me feel so important, so significant, so seen, so heard, that the problem wasn't actually the problem. The problem was my attitude about the problem. Good Jack Sparrow, and you win them as a friend. And in this story, sometimes for a lifetime. Next. I said that 3/4 of the people you ever meet are hungering and thirsting for sympathy. Give it to them and they will love you. No, not in this fucking university, not in Ratlife University, not with Tarek Hawks. The best thing you can do if someone's trying to elicit sympathy from you, right, in any way, is tell them to go fuck themselves, because you actually love them. Nice. That is what I, Professor Tarek Hawks, stand behind. What do you stand behind? There's like a commercial or something for Natalie Portman. She's like, what would you do for love? Stupid. It reminded me of that. Okay. Consider others always noble and honest. And I put, we're all just trying to do our best. It's a good frame to have. Always consider the other person's intentions and intent noble. Don't consider everyone that you meet a fucking snake in the grass. And again, you're practicing your own identity and the reiteration of your own identity. I like to view other people in the lens of love because I love myself, because I like to give myself the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to be a naive person by any means, but I'm going to afford people a chance to live up to the noble expectations in which I afford them, right? I don't know. Treat others as unto how you would want to be treated. That same sentiment. Next. The way to get things done is to stimulate competition. This is a quote from Charles Schwab. In the desire to excel, the challenge, throwing down the gauntlet. And then in my notes in the book, I put, a chance to prove yourself in the arena. And I love that so much. On victory, what greater challenge, and I put in parentheses, gift, can be offered than the opportunity to overcome those fears? And this is, again, important when you're faced with life's hardship, adversity, circumstance. Is it, hardship or failure or pain, or is it God or the universe giving you an opportunity to cultivate the exact virtues that you're asking for? You say, God, I want strength. Okay, then I need to give you pain. I need to give you resistance. I need to give you struggle so that you become stronger. God, I want courage. Then I need to give you terrifying circumstances to give you the opportunity to be courageous. Did I put one more? God, I want confidence. Then I'm giving you the opportunity to keep your word, right? You have to view the circumstances and conditions that you're as opportunities for life, for God to give you exactly what you say that you want. Because He is. He is. But people don't view life as that. People view this happened to me, not this happened. They don't have humility to say, no, this is happening for me. All the pain, and even me recently with this horrific season of the grind, in the sense of it's been so much turmoil and struggle and adversity and heartache and fucking defeat and despair. I shared this the other day where literally like last week, right before my conversation with Kathy, which she saw me like at the end of the rope, as in hanging on by threads, came over to my desk and she said, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. And she said, you said yes, but you shook your head no. And then she pressed the question again. She said, are you okay? And my tears, like my eyes started to well up. And she was like, I think we should go out for that beer after all. And I told her that I'm on prep right now, dieting. Not one of my coworkers who used to work here said that's like a gay term that people take for like gay stuff. No, I'm dieting on contest preparation. I didn't need to explain that, but more information that you need to know. But the beer thing, neither of us drank the beer. It was just a replacement an opportunity to, spend great quality time with a great soul, a great person of God, an angel, God sent. And the reason that I brought that up with Kathy, it was because I was literally at the edge, the dire precipice to where I haven't done this in a very long time, but that day before, I screamed in my car as loud and hard as I possibly could. Like I shouted with the most rage, like because it was just like, I'm so fucking sick of this kind of a deal. And I just belted and I just let it all out. And it was actually relieving. When you suppress all of this anger and frustration, and it's when you're in a workplace, and why I believe I had to endure it is because now I can be that people's champion. I believe that anyway, of people who are enduring this fucking garbage in the workplace, of this horrific piece of shit joke of leadership who are employing harassment, I think I chose the right word, harassment, abuse, manipulation, treachery, all this fucking garbage in the workplace that outside of there, I grab them by their fucking throat and put them on the concrete, right? In a fucking heartbeat. But in the workplace, when they're able to dangle your security of your paycheck over your shoulders, where now you can't speak the truth, now you can't call them out on their bullshit, because then your job is threatened and then your livelihood is threatened. But I have the courage to not stand idle amidst treachery and amidst tyranny. But I told her the position that I was in, which is I was laughed at when I failed a prior job advancement. I got to the final interview in a different school district and I got rejected. My boss laughed at me for that and said, sorry, like, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. And she literally laughed. And that same person who lied to my face and then laughed about it afterwards, reflecting, that, I don't respect you at all. Same person who I vocalized the harassment and abuse and mistreatment of my snake piece of shit, cuck, motherfucker, bitch, that's my superior, and of how he's abusing and insulting and condemning, is the wrong word, putting other people down and insulting people in a public setting in the guise of a joke and just being a piece of shit. And now come to find out that he's literally harassing and mistreating and abusing other people. Part of the healing with Kathy was she was validating everything that I was saying. And so it was like, this isn't just in our head. This is the actual piece of shit. Not to me. I'm a very strong person. I call that weasel fuck out very quickly. And you'll find out that if you stand up to the bullies, that they're a real coward, they're a real cuck, and they come to you like a fucking chihuahua with their head down, even though they're your superior. But they know that between the two of you, they're not. But to the other people who are more agreeable, to the other people who have a fear of their job and their job security, that they're willing to accept and tolerate the abuse and the mistreatment, I believe that I had to endure all of that so that I could have that lens to now I can be in such a better place to empathize with other people and provide them that compassionate lens and be that champion, like I said, for people who are trying to escape the rat life, because now I have the greatest lens in terms of the defeat and the despair that one embodies and one is, subject to, who feels like there's no hope, right, for leveling up. For when the opportunity arose for me to make more money within the district, I got told no. So I said, okay, so if I work harder, there's no room for me to grow here. And then when I try to get a job elsewhere, I'm fucking laughed at. I have no respect given to me from this horrific leadership because you don't lie to somebody who you respect. And I would waste so much emotional energy and, on that 5-cent irritation when I would actually vocalize this person's shitty treatment to the leadership, but because he's such a fucking weasel snake motherfucker faggot fuck that he's positioned himself to where he has HR in his fucking pocket and he has the person that HR reports to in his pocket, and he has them so well manipulated, he's so well positioned to abuse the fuck out of his power, which is the result of giving a weak person a position of power. The first thing that they do is abuse it. And I try to shift the narrative of I have to go through this because this is happening for me. As in, don't wish for an easy path, an easy life, wish for a hard won victory. Why? For the man you have to become in order to achieve your goal, in order to persevere, right? What kind of man did I become in terms of the emotional control, in terms of the, a man with pride who calls out atrocity and abuse and mistreatment when he sees it. A man who, when these other people would come to me because they actually view me as a leader and they actually respect me, you're able to give them that actual compassion, the actual leadership and guidance and reassurance and consideration. And, that's how you earn real respect and admiration and love, by actually giving a fuck about other people and just being a great person who embodies care and kindness and consideration and leadership and love. And it was like I had to go all through these things. I had to experience the when you're subject to a cuck leader who's just a weak, insecure, manipulative, treacherous faggot fuck. So now I can be in a position to really resonate with people who are in such a defeated position, full of such despair. And I love that idea so much because, like I said, not for what I got, whether that's this new 6-figure job or, in the future, my freedom forever, but the man I had to become in order to achieve the goal, in order to escape the rat life, right? So it's very, very cool because, again, now what kind of a man can I be for other people, right? What kind of a man in terms of patience, in terms of strength, in terms of integrity, in terms of, can I be for my future woman? Can I be for my future kids? Can I be for the, for the people who I lead, who choose to follow me, right? So, love it so much. But yeah, that conversation with Kathy was such a gift for that reason. But yes. So, to bring it back. So what great challenge, gift can be offered than the opportunity to overcome those fears? It's the idea of viewing life as this happened for me, not to me. And even the worst of the worst, even your lowest low. There's a quote by Greg Plate. He says, your greatest hour will be followed by your worst hour of despair. And it's like, it's always, the darkest right before the dawn. It's so fucking cliche, but it's that quote from the Bible, this too shall pass. As in, the reason that you stay in pain and don't make it to reward is because you give up, because you quit, because you fucking throw in the towel. But I swear to God is my witness, if you just don't give up, I swear you will be rewarded for the courage to fucking persevere, the courage to pursue. I swear, man. It's almost as if God in life is testing you to see that if you can just hold out a fucking little bit longer, right? To make it through the other side, to make it to the reward of perseverance, of not giving up. So look at life's fucking storms and say, dude, have the courage that we talked about in a prior lecture from the Count of Monte Cristo. Dude, do your fucking worst, man, because I will do mine. And then he says, and then and then the fates will know you as we know you, as Albert the man or the woman. Food for thought. Let the other person feel that the idea is his or hers. Give them a spoon. So that was an idea in the book in terms of winning people to your way of thinking, is give them a spoon. And this is from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where you give somebody a spoon in the cake, the batter, that you're making. Make other people in your organization, your company, your vision, in your family, in your coworkers, make them feel like they had a part in the decision-making process of what you're asking them to do. And they'll be more inclined, you'll be able to influence them to your thinking, to what you want them to do, because they'll feel like they had a part in it, right? Again, what does that play on? Their significance. Oh, I'm important. Oh, my opinion matters, by giving them a spoon, right, of your cake. Yeah. Next, constructive criticism. Begin with praise and honest appreciation. So I don't want you to conflate that with fluffing somebody up and then offering all this bullshit. And it's interesting because after my boss lied straight to my face and then laughed at me afterwards, she took me into my 1 year, performance review before they gave me that salary increase that doesn't outpace inflation. And then everything that she said was all garbage, because I shared with her. I said, "Have you ever dropped glass?" And she was like, "Yeah." I said, "Have you ever tried to glue it back together?" She's like, "Haha, no." I said, that's how trust works. And so that's why I want to put this point in terms of constructive criticism, and it says begin with praise and honest appreciation. If you just give someone all this bullshit, right, then their word is fucking hollow, because all it was a smoke screen and you're just fucking blowing smoke up their ass. It was the same thing when she lied to my face and then she was giving me all these great things on my performance review. None of these words mean shit, because your word doesn't mean shit to me, right? It's the premise of that. But for other people the book is more, leaning on the concept. They're trying to drive the point that somebody who's, doesn't take criticism well, you can sort of grease the wheels, if you will, by, complimenting them and praising them, and to make the criticism seem more palatable. So, food for thought. But it's the idea of saving face. I love this story. So he says, he saw Charles Schwab in one of his factories, saw his guy smoking literally under a sign that said no smoking. And he went up to them, and rather than condemn them, rather than, not allow them to save face and ostracize them in a public setting, he came up to these guys smoking where, indoors when they shouldn't be, not allowed, with cigars. And he handed each one a cigar and said, "I'll appreciate it, boys, if you'll smoke these on the outside." And I love that. You allow them the opportunity to save face. They know they're fucking up. They know what they're doing is wrong, is against the rules. But rather than being that guy, and then they say this in the book, Dale Carnegie says this, how can you not love a guy like that? And then, do you think they quit smoking in the fucking place? Dude, of course. Because you held them to a higher, nobler standard. It's like, no, you guys aren't going to do this again, and I trust you so much that you're not going to do this again, that here's a cigar. How do you not love a guy like that? How you win friends and influence people. Next. So, calling attention to one's mistakes indirectly works wonders. Do it. Talk about your own mistakes first. So this works so effectively when you're trying to get someone, and these are the last pages of notes, when you're trying to get somebody to adopt improvement. If you go straight at a person, they become defensive, right? You're fucking up here, this is why, blah, blah, blah. Defense, wall. I got to protect myself because you're fighting against me. But if you share with them a story of a time where you did the exact same fuck up that they're doing or that they're about to do, and oh my gosh, I used to do this one stupid thing where I did this, then they get to be that third person, because it's not about them, even though it's a story that you're relaying that's the exact same thing that they're doing, and they get to consider and reflect, and they're not in a defensive stance. They're in a position to receive. This works fucking wonders. I've employed. I'll figure out those two words one day. Otherwise, they're going to be interchangeable until the end of time. With perfection, where I'll see something that I want to improve, or they've made some mistake, but then I'll make light of it. As in, I'll make the mistake seem very easy to correct. I'll give them a story of where, and this is actually very powerful in the sense of getting people to open up, Because people will admit when they're wrong or when they don't know something when you share with them some intimate story or, you know, honesty. Or when you show them vulnerability, they'll show you vulnerability, right? But they're waiting on you. So it's very, very important that what I've just said, I don't want to butcher it, talk about your own mistakes first and really dramatize it of how you made, I was so stupid and I did this and I had no consideration, I was so disrespectful, as a way to help another person develop in terms of his respect for others or consideration for others or remedying his mistake. You know, it's very, very effective. So food for thought. I hope I said that well. I know I'm kind of butchering it. I know we're getting to a very long lecture here, but this is such a good book and this has transformed my life. This is one of the best books in this university. I know I'm going to keep saying that because the entire university is made of gold. Golden literature, the best books ever written of all time on personal development. The one discipline curriculum within this university, but they don't teach you this shit in school. They don't teach you to the power in allowing someone to save face, the power in specific praise and recognition, the power in remembering someone's fucking name, the power in, and this is a recurring theme in a lot of books, doing something for someone else that requires thought, care, consideration when they're not in the room. You know, they don't tell you any of this shit, to not criticize, to not condemn, to not complain. They don't teach you this shit in fucking school, man. So as a result, you don't become a made man as a result of going to school. You don't get an actual education. It's the last sentence that we're going to close with. What did I just discuss were you taught in school? Fucking none of it. And then the quote right before that. Well, seeing these 2,500 people attend the Dale Carnegie course when it was, you know, live. This was published in the 30s. Is a glaring commentary on the shocking deficiencies in our fucking education system. He didn't say the word fuck, I added that. Next. Never give direct orders, give suggestions. And this is effective within leadership. What do you think of this? Do you think that would work? Again, it's the idea of giving others a spoon, giving others, you know, a feeling of that they had a part in the decision-making process and that their voice and opinion is heard. They feel like they've been seen. You're satisfying their need, their human need, the number one need in the world of significance. Next. Asking questions not only makes an order more palatable, it often stimulates the creativity of the person whom you ask. People are more likely to accept an order if they had a part in the decision that caused the order to be issued. Food for thought. Always let the other person save face. I can't emphasize that enough. Always let the other person save face. Next. I have no right to, this is a quote from, I believe, Abraham Lincoln. I have no right to say or do anything that diminishes a man in his own eyes. And I love that so much. Again, the idea of letting other people always save face. Harvey Specter, never destroy men in public when you can achieve the same thing in private. Next. Praise the slightest improvement, inspire the other person to keep on improving. Again, how seldom do we pay credit where it's due? And you should, even in the small things. And I learned this from Jordan Peterson. You can condition behavior in the sense of how quickly are people to say, you look ugly in this dress, or I don't like you wearing this. And then 5 years into the relationship, you say, you don't put effort into this anymore. You know, you condition the fucking behavior by just shit talking me the whole time. But if you compliment, you know, a person and you're really emphatic about it and you mean it, you're not, you know, lying. And you say, oh my God, I love the way that you wear this lip gloss, or that you wear this dress, or that you look so beautiful in this, and I really love this about you in this. And they're like, oh, really? You really think I look this great wearing this? And then lo and behold, you'll find them wearing the things that you like to see them wear. And it's that idea of praising the slightest improvement, inspire the other person to keep on improving. If you want someone to continue to do a thing, then give them praise and recognition when they do that thing. It's a crazy concept. Versus how often do people ignore something that they like and are very quick to shine a light on something that they don't like. This university is going to make men what they used to be. Men of honor, great men, masculine, traditional fucking leaders. Men in the arena, right? Who have the courage to believe, the courage to not stand idle amidst tyranny, the way that tyranny stands, and the men who have the courage to persevere and the courage to pursue. Next. Because he had singled out a specific accomplishment rather than just making general flattering remarks, his praise became more meaningful to whom it was given. Specific praise, specific recognition will seep through. It is what differentiates from flattery. Bullshit. Next. When praise is specific, when recognition, the details are specific, when their effort doesn't go unnoticed, it comes across as sincere, meaningful. They feel seen, valued, appreciated, important, and not flattery. Do you understand? Last page. Planting seeds. Praise people and inspire them with a realization of their latent possibilities. And I put 3 people. I put Garrett from UCLA, Marla, Paris, Julia, Worthy Love. It's the importance of praise people and inspire them with a realization of their latent possibilities. It's the idea of planting seeds under whose shade you will never sit. When I was bench pressing 50 pounds, if that, my undergraduate at UCLA, I asked this guy named Garrett, who was a junior or senior at the time, if he could spot me. I was 140, 150, 160 pounds, and he told me, and I'll never forget it, he said, you could go heavier. And he said it with such a look of sincerity, and I was like 18, 19 years old. I said, no, I can't go heavier on this. And then he said, no, you can. He planted that seed of belief in me that I could, that I was stronger than I thought I was. Marla, when I worked as a minimum wage personal trainer, she said, when you're in Paris, and I said, yeah, when I'm in Paris. She said, no, when you're in Paris, you need to go to, she planted the seed of belief in me that it's possible that traveling wasn't for the elite, the special, the rare, the gifted few, that anyone could do it. And then with Garrett, I got stronger. With Marla, I would travel to 32 countries around the world. Julia planted the seed of worthiness of love. She said in a long DM that she wrote me, she said, I hope you find your person, and you, Tarek, deserve everything. And somebody who's struggled for years with their self-image, with their feeling of worthiness, and believing himself worthy of a particular woman, of love, she planted that seed of belief that you are worthy, you are deserving, you do deserve this ecstatic, euphoric love. And it's to where that seed only recently was finally planted, finally took root. Why? Because I believed it for myself. That's the importance of planting trees under whose shade you will never sit, is praising people and inspiring them with a realization of their latent possibilities. So that's a quote from the book, and I gave you 3 examples of how others are pivotal, critical people in my life who planted trees in the form of seeds of belief that, whether it was the time delay range, but it could have been years later before that seed of belief was planted, was taken root. And I know I said this was going to be the last blip, but we got to do one more. We're going to finish strong. And I love that so much. And it's so important, dude. You never know. You could be that fucking one person who gets through to the other people. So that's why it's so important to just give others, it's going to sound hippie, but give others love. Give others appreciation, sincerity, encouragement, making them believe that, no, dude, fuck yes, you can achieve this. Fuck yes, you can get this dream person. Yes, you can have this dream physique. Yes, you can have this dream financial income. Yes, you can start this business. Yes, it can be successful. Yes, you can travel the world. Make somebody feel that way. Make them one day believe that for themselves. And dude, you'll be remembered forever. Next, by planting trees under whose shade you will never sit. Abilities wither under criticism and blossom under encouragement. Very true. Praise the slightest improvement. Do this with everyone in your garden, everyone on your team. Praise the slightest improvement. And praise every improvement in everyone. The slightest one, the smallest one, and everyone. Again, how seldom do we fucking pay credit where it's due, and how quickly do we offer criticism and condemnation, things that are now forbidden from your practice, from your everyday use, from your any day use, as well as conversing in gossip, as well as complaining. Next. Be hearty in your approbation. If you've listened to any of this lecture and you would like to educate me and make me a better person, I would love to know the differentiation between implore and employ when used in the verb sense, and the definition of approbation. So if you want to make me a better professor within this university, leading this noble quest, this lovely charge of 1,000 books, this is book number 19 of Ratlife University, with the premise of what is Ratlife? Anyone can escape. It starts with belief and the courage to pursue. We're all gonna fucking make it. Then leave a comment with those definitions. I'm becoming a better speaker. I love it. Where I don't lose my train of thought, even though I have done that several times. And these videos are evident of it. That's why they had to be cropped and clipped, because I was like, wait, what was I thinking about? Next. I love this university so much, dude. Oh my God. I really do. I really, really do. Next. Give other people a fine reputation to live up to. That's summarizing it. Again, if you hold someone to a noble standard, think of it like a coach to an athlete. When you're giving them, like, this is what you're capable of, they will work harder to not let you down. They'll work harder to get the victory, not for themselves, but for the fucking coach that they want to bring the trophy back to. Do you understand? That's the importance of holding other people to a higher, nobler standard. To finish. Use encouragement. Make the fault seem easy to correct. Works very well. And then I just want to say this part again. The fact that these people 10 or 20 years after leaving grade school, high school, or college come and take this training is a glaring commentary on the shocking deficiencies in our educational system. Dale Carnegie. What that I just discussed were you taught in school? That's right. Nothing. This is Ratlife University, book number 19, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. What is Ratlife University? Why are we doing this, dude? Not for what we get, for who we become. Through the defeat, through the despair, through the heartache, through the pain, the suffering, the loss, the adversity, the struggle, right? What kind of man do you become as a result of that? That's the gift. Not the destination, not the goal, not the finish line, not the 1,000 books, not the noble quest of the, where we're going. Who do I need to become in order to achieve it? What kind of man do I need to become to become worthy to earn my dream woman, right? What kind of man do I need to become? What kind of provider do I need to become? What kind of man do I need to become in terms of the women who I am not tolerating, not conversing with, not entertaining, not sleeping with, not lowering myself to, right? What man do I need to become to achieve this goal of this is the caliber, this is the kind of woman that I want? What man do I need to become to achieve, to earn, to be worthy of this kind of a salary, this kind of an income? This battery's gonna die. I'm gonna finish this. Hold on. We didn't make it to the end of the lecture to not finish strong. It's just all food for thought, dude, in terms of asking yourself, why the fuck are we doing this, right? It's about harboring that honesty, that humility, that courage, that strength to just be honest with where you are, right? The man you want to become, the woman that you want to become. What's your standard, right? Who are you tolerating into your life that you shouldn't be? What negativity and victims are you tolerating? Are you corroborating? Are you validating? Fuck all of that shit. And I love that idea. Again, life is not about what you get, it's about who you become and what you're able to give now that you become more. That's the point of this university. It's the man, the women, the men and women we get to become as a result of having this goal, right? It's not about what we get, it's about who we become, us becoming more, so that now we have that much more to give others, so that we can be those people planting trees under whose shade we will never sit. And with that, this is a lecture that I'm very proud of. I don't care if it gets one view. I'm doing this because I'm creating the most beautiful garden, something that I can be proud of. I'm doing this for the man I get to become as a result. And then anybody else's life that I can benefit, that's a bonus. Do you know what I'm saying? But I love the idea about me becoming more, so I have that much more to give others, the people that I say I love and that I care about. But it starts with you. So with that, I hope you have the courage to believe that you are worthy of this kind of love, of this euphoria, of this ecstasy, of this partner, of this relationship, of this income, of this physique, of this freedom, man. You're worthy of it. I hope you have the courage to persevere, to not give up even at that fucking darkest day where you're at the peak, the pinnacle of defeat and despair. I hope you have the courage to just harbor that honesty and that humility that's found in just being fucking honest with who you are, with where you are, with the people that you're tolerating in your life, the fucking weeds that are in your garden, and then just taking full ownership, taking full responsibility, having the courage to say, I am where I deserve to be, and then the courage to say, to not beat yourself up over the past, dude, but today. Where can we go today? Or, yeah, I'm getting to the fucking end of it, but you understand what I'm saying. It's like, I can't change the past, right? But what are we going to do today? for this person that I get to become, right? I can decide to take ownership, take full responsibility, and as a result, take fucking charge of my life, right? It goes so much more beyond just winning friends and fucking influencing people to your way of thinking. Fuck all of that, dude. It's you becoming a better man. I'm not going to criticize other people. I'm not going to condemn other people, right? I'm going to offer specific praise and recognition. I'm going to buy someone flowers. I'm going to do something for someone else that requires time, thought, consideration when they're not in the room, right? I'm going to create a new identity that I'm the kind of person who's amazing at remembering names. I'm fucking gorgeous, sexy as fuck, Jesus, when I look at myself in the mirror, right? I'm not going to put myself down anymore. I'm not going to harbor that much horrific internal dialogue. I'm not going to berate myself for past mistakes. I'm going to harbor more grace. Like, this is all food for thought, food for consideration, why we're doing this university. This is the garden. This is the class. This is the environment. This is the garden. Not fucking weeds, not pests, not, these parasites. It's, beauty, learning, healing, growth, betterment, progression, doing our fucking best, right? Together as a team. That's book number 19 of Ratlife University, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I hope you enjoy. We're all gonna fucking make it. And that's it. Till next time.